Press start.
It does make me appreciate that, like, so many people, like almost everyone I know has started a podcast or whatever wants to. Very few will get up to episode 152 that we are on right now. 152.
He's back. Did you see that, guys? He's back.
Of the current gen podcast. Let's get into this thing. Hey, before we talk about any games we're playing, any video games, any movies we're watching, I want to talk about the latest episode of Last of Us, which might be my favorite HBO show. I don't know. We'll get into that later. I'm loving it. But let's get into that in a little bit. I want to start with a game that you're all gonna love/hate. But we're gonna play a game. It's not a Kahoot. I'm sorry. So don't get too excited. Jeff already had Kahoot open, ready to type in the code. he was ready. Oh, he
there he goes. Yeah, there he
Never
is.
accepts my name. It never accepts the names that I put in there. You know?
We're going to play a game, but hey, before we start, for those who are just watching or listening, if you happen to be joining for the first time, my name's Tim. Kyle is here, Derek, Dan, and Jeff. You'll hear each of their voices throughout the show on different topics and different games. Let's jump right into it. This is a game that I remember playing as a little kid. Usually it was like an icebreaker, like a get-to-know-you thing. So I maybe even at a job or two, I've played this game as a staff meeting thing. But it's the Never Have I Ever. You guys played this game?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So basically, you get you don't have to hold up your hand if you want, but I will try to see how many I have left. You basically have 5 points, or as a kid, at least you used your hands. And every time someone else says, put your hands down. Put your hand down, Dan. Every time
Digital
someone
hand
says, I have never done something, if you've done it, you lose a finger, basically. And then last person standing wins. So like for a job, it might be like, never have I ever been to Europe. And if you have been, you have to put one of your fingers down until you're the last person left. Does that make sense? But ours is all video game related.
Thank
so it
God.
has to be.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
So one example of that.
I was
We
sweating.
could've
I
gone
wasn't
to-
playing
Could have
otherwise.
gone to some deep
Yeah,
dark places.
I was gonna pow out if that was the...
We're not going to go those places. But so, for example, since I know this is true of all of us, so we'd all lose a finger on this one. That is, never have I ever owned a PS5. Obviously, we all own one. But if someone were to say that, everyone who owns one.
Let's call Thomas. Get him in here.
So, all right.
Aw.
So we're going to start alphabetically.
Not a
Dan,
diss,
you-
it's just reality. It's
Dan,
just-
you get to go first.
life.
And tell us something that truly video game related. Truly, you've never have I ever what? Go ahead.
Oh, jeez. Put me on the spot. God damn it.
Were you
Okay.
paying
It was
attention,
you, not
son?
me.
Shoot. Never have I ever played a baseball video game.
What?
Have you never really?
That can't be true.
No, because baseball's a dumb sport. So
I know, but
But the
It's
games are fun.
America's
The games are
past.
fun,
Actually, I
though.
fell asleep trying to say. I fell asleep trying to defend it. I'm sorry.
all right. So Kyle, you've never played
Oh,
one?
I have. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
Derek,
Excuse
have you
me.
played one?
Yeah.
Of course you have. Okay. All right. So that was a good one then, Dan. Derek, what about you?
We like games. We're gamers. That's why we played them.
Okay.
Derek, give
Four.
me yours. What's yours? Never have I ever.
Never done video game wise.
Never have I ever played Command and Conquer.
What?
Damn it.
I haven't.
Right.
Yeah.
wait.
Now
So
I
I'm
gotta
I'm gonna
be free
lose
like
before
this.
it's my turn.
gonna say. So I'm putting a finger because I haven't done. Okay. Go ahead.
No. If you have, you lose a finger.
Oh. Okay.
Do you have an either, Dan?
2.
No.
Jeez,
I've never.
man.
You've never played.
No.
I'm gonna
I'm
lose.
not good at
I'm gonna
those
lose at
games.
this one.
I
I'm
knew.
gonna lose at this one. All right. Jeff.
Uh,
I should have gone first.
Oh.
I should have made it reverse alphabetical.
hold on a minute, dude.
Oh, no, dude.
Now I can't. I'm trying to think of a game.
You could say never have I ever beaten a Resident Evil game.
Oh,
I mean,
a
that
rule-
is actually that's factual. I
That's
guess that would
what it
remove it for all of you. So
Good,
yes,
knock all
never
of us
have
out.
I ever beaten a Resident Evil
Dang
game.
it,
That is-
Kyle.
All right. So
accurate.
now I lose a finger, right? Because I
Yes.
Yeah.
My
yeah.
hand's tired. I'm trying to get it
Still
taken
got-
down.
Oh,
You're a
shoot.
But
You're a
I-
I'm
freaking
gonna have
jerk,
I'm gonna have nothing left.
Also, how dare you not finish a Resident Evil game? How
All
dare
right,
you?
Kyle.
They're too scary.
Never have I ever played a Madden game in the last 20 years.
God damn it, Kyle.
In the last 20 years? Oh my
No,
god.
actually.
yeah.
2-0.
I'm down to one left. All right.
Well, Tim's losing fingers real quick.
Never have I ever played a PlayStation 3.
Okay. I
Never
got one.
played it.
Never even played PlayStation 3.
Wow.
I used to. I
Dan,
never.
you
I
played
never.
one, so you gotta
if you
get rid of
phrased
the
it,
thing.
if you phrased it like I never owned one,
I keep
then
forgetting the rules.
I
I'm
would
sorry.
be able to keep a finger up. But I worked at a job where I had to test consoles. So damn it.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right,
man.
I'm almost done. Dan,
Um,
Go for the assassination shot. Come on, Dan.
trying to think. God damn it. Never. No, hold on. Yeah, this is like harder than I think. I'm trying to think of like.
I know it's difficult.
we're gonna put you on a timer here in a second.
Never have I ever finished a Final Fantasy game.
Yes, you
But
have.
you
have.
have.
Oh, but it's I have. Okay,
You
never
have
mind.
to say something. Yeah, it has to be true
true.
for you.
True.
Never have I ever finished a Fire Emblem game.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
Okay.
that's
I'm out.
that's a
Well,
kill
I'm out
shot.
then.
Come on.
I'm out. All right, so it's just Kyle left. Kyle.
It's
I'm
just
Derek.
just
me
kidding.
left?
It's one.
Oh, Jeff has one. Oh, okay.
That's
all
right. Because you said never have I ever finished it, and I mixed it up in my
Derek's out.
head.
I'm
So I've
out.
never finished one.
Okay, Jeff.
Oh god damn it! It's me.
Because Derek and I are both out. You guys got to take out Dan.
We're about to find out that Dan's actually the fakest game.
Never have I ever owned. I never owned an Xbox. The first one. Never have I ever owned
Original
an
Xbox.
The OG.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Dan's never owned one either, has he?
Did
You own
ever
the first
an
one?
X-
Oh wait, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep forgetting the cut.
I'm
Dan's
we
really
got
bad.
you, man. We got
Dan's
you.
really bad at this game. It's okay. Dan,
He's like gonna
I am
win.
all you have
at
to do
being
now
terrible.
is think of something that you've never done gaming related that you're pretty sure Jeff has and you won. You just have to figure what that
Yeah.
out, what that is. But let's give you like a 15 seconds to come up with something. So we
Think
don't
of one
wait
of the indie games he's played in the last couple of years.
Never
that you
have I
definitely didn't
ever
play.
played an indie game that requires a webcam.
Oh, that's so specific. I
That's
love
good.
it. Ruthless.
good.
True. That's true.
That was good. All right, I wasn't 100% paying attention. Dan might have cheated a little bit, but he definitely had at
No,
least
I did.
he definitely had more
watching.
left up than us. All right, good job, Daniel.
You guys are all fingerless, and I have 3 fingers. So
That's what all that meant. Yeah.
That's exactly what that meant. Well, let's talk about
Yep.
some new games that are out. Some stuff that I think between all of us, we've all played. Some of us have already played and beaten some of the new games this week. We'll talk about that. And all of us have at least tried some of the new stuff a little bit. Let's start with the one that just came out yesterday. Everyone's talking about it. The reviews are crazy. One of the biggest remakes of the year. And I think that's going to be true right alongside like Resident Evil 4. Dead Space remake is going to be up there as like the biggest re-release or remake of the year. So tell me what you guys think about Dead Space remake. The reviews are stellar. What are you guys thinking so far?
well, it takes place in space, and there's a lot of dead things.
So the title is
Perfect.
accurate. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well said.
Or are they actually undead? I mean, what do we constitute necromorphs? Like, are they undead?
I've never constituted a necromorph myself.
Okay.
I mean, they're humans that have been turned into like alien type things.
Is it because of mushrooms?
Undead Indians.
Oh, that's Last of Us. My bad.
Yeah,
So
space
they're
mushrooms,
still
yeah.
alive.
Space mushrooms.
So this is. I'll just kick it off. This is my first time playing Dead Space. Like I
Oh, is it really?
yeah, I started it on the 360 a couple times. And then after I played Callisto Protocol, I really wanted to play it, so I booted up on PC. I played like 2 hours. I thought if you go back and play the game, especially on PC, because you can play it in 4K, 120 frames per second, it plays good. It's not really a dated game. It's a little janky with the controls, like they're super loose.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't say this game was necessary. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have made this. I think they did a phenomenal job, and I'm glad they did it because it's definitely inspired me to go, okay, I'm gonna beat this game. So, as far as how it looks, it's absolutely gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
it's like Callisto Protocol was
Derek, where are
very,
you playing
very
it?
good.
PC?
I'm playing on PC.
PC. Okay.
So I thought Callisto Protocol was very good looking, but I actually think Dead Space is better looking. I think the reason
Really?
why I like it better is I think the lighting's better, and
Hmm.
it seems like it's just more like flashy. Like
Hmm.
whereas Callisto Protocol had kind of like more of a film grain look to it, and it had very bland coloring. This is like the contrasts are very like you can really tell like it gets super dark, but then when it's bright, it's got brightness and the reflections and the lighting, and the shadows. Everything is really, really well done.
Much sharper, it seems like, from the videos I've seen. Just a sharpness to it compared to Callisto.
And then as far as controls go, again, coming off of playing it on PC, playing a couple hours of the original Dead Space, they definitely fix the looseness. Like this handles like a top of the line third person shooter.
Yeah.
They just nailed like literally everything. So I'm in chapter 8 of 12. I've put in like 6 hours today. I'm
Gosh, I
killing.
didn't realize you got so far in it. That's awesome.
Well, that's because I'm not wearing a shirt. I'm not moving. I'm
He wasn't
staying
talking all
indoors.
day in chat. He was in it. He
I'm not
was
moving.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a
He
shirt.
was in
I'm gonna
space
guess that
with the
it doesn't
dead.
smell great in Derek's space.
It does not. It is definitely a Dead Space and Derek Space.
Oh,
But
Jesus Christ.
so I got really far. I should probably beat it by tomorrow. That's
Yeah,
my
it's
plan.
not long.
It's not a super long. Yeah.
Is
but
it
I've just-
difficult? Like on normal settings, is it a difficult game?
Well, I'm not playing on normal. I don't play horror games the first time through on normal. That's the only game that I won't start on normal. Horror games, I'm like, nope, nope.
It's got a good amount of ammo thrown at you, so I'm playing on normal. There are moments where when you're trying to line up the shots on the limbs and they're throwing like 2 or 3 enemies at you, and you're like, ah, shit, you get a little overall. I'm actually surprised. There's a lot of enemies coming up behind me. I don't know if I remember that being an issue or not an issue, but like as common originally. I don't know if it's like something they're trying to make me do in this one to more spooky more. Like, oh shit,
that was one of the things before. Again, of course, the game came out because the reviews are amazing. A lot of like diehard Dead Space fans were freaking out. I don't remember what the technology's called, but the creators that were redoing Dead Space were using some new technology where it was going to add enemies and it was going to be more random, and people were freaking out.
It's a director mode, like Left 4 Dead,
there
where it's like reading how well you're doing, and if you're doing really well, it's going to throw a little more at you. If you're not doing so well, it might pump the brakes a little bit on you, but not in a way that you're ever supposed to really notice. It offers like a randomized, like if you die and load into a section, supposedly that section should be different this time. So if you're expecting someone behind you this time, there might be 2 in front of you or something like that. So
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, that seems to be maybe what is happening because
So I would say there is, for certain players, there are more enemies, and yes, they are coming from behind. I've got grabbed multiple times from behind. The sound design's really well. I'm not playing. I do want to play probably tomorrow the rest of the game in my 3D audio headphones. I'm not doing it today, but I really think the sound design, like, holy crap, dude! There's just so much noise and so and for any good,
what is it, like whispering of the like the distant, like kind
even his heartbeat.
yeah.
If you're in like a quiet place, like after like a bunch of action, you'll hear his heart racing and he's like panicking. So they really nailed, like, literally graphics, combat. This game already had, I knew the story going into it, so I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, wow, that happened. But I already thought that the Dead Space story was really good for a horror game. Like, I like some Resident Evil stories, but for the most part, they're kind of lame. This actually
How
has.
dare you?
Yeah,
they can be pretty silly.
they get really. I mean, Resident Evil 4. Good lord. I mean, come on.
There's some
The whole
silliness.
plot
There's some
is
silly
ridiculous.
goosery going on there.
Yeah, but this one actually has a really good plot that if you don't know the outcome, it's not like it doesn't. There is no cutscenes really. I don't think there's really. Yeah, there's a few, but you're not bombarded with a lot of cutscenes. But you're getting a lot of information. There's a lot of dialogue with the characters, and so if you're following, they're throwing out subtle stuffs. And so if you're following, you're kind of like, oh, okay, I don't know really what's going on, but as you progress through where I'm at, where you're like 2/3 through, you start to piece together that this isn't random, that this is, there's something bigger going on here. And it's not, like I said, it's not that one of those stupid things in most horror games where you're like, okay, that was just dumb. Like that whole mystery was dumb. They just went ridiculous. this actually I think has a cooler setup for the second one. So I think the lore and the overall universe and story for the Dead Space games is what I think also sets it apart. But the main thing I have to say that they absolutely nail is the whole setting. And this is where I would say, as somebody who just played like Callisto Protocol failed. Like, I see a lot of what Callisto Protocol was trying to do to mirror Dead Space. Like, now I really see it. I'm like, oh my God, you were just making Dead Space. But
Or trying to.
Yeah, trying to, but you didn't do it as good, because to me it just did not have the spooky, like, there are times where you have to shut off the entire lights where you're at, and you can only see if you're pointing your gun, which means you're walking very slowly, so they're already setting the atmosphere. And then you have all the noises, and those things are making noises all around you.
Yeah.
You don't know where they're going to come from. They mix with the ship. So there's been several times where I've gotten shot like 100 times, and I'm like, where the fuck are you, dude? I don't know where you are. And it's one of those like little midget ones that are just shooting like acid spikes at you.
Do you mean
And
the
I
little
can't
babies
see 'em.
or the
Is
baby
that where
necro-
you wish you had a directional thing like God of War had that you didn't like? Is that where you kind of wish you had that a little bit?
No, because I think that would make the game too easy.
Oh.
It's more of a compliment where it's like these guys just fit into the lighting, everything, and all you can go by is sound. And then you are getting hit, so you got to pay attention to how your character gets hit. So how does he react? Like, if he's doing that, then he's probably getting hit from over there. So, in my
Doesn't
opinion,
sound
they nailed
very
everything.
accessible. That's all I'm saying. I mean, if you have to have sound to play the game, whatever. It sounds like you're loving it though, man, which is awesome. The fact that you're that far into it already, and Dan, I know you're playing it as well, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm a couple hours in.
What are your thoughts on this game?
I've heard there's like certain things that are new with the game. I don't know if they mean like story elements or tweaks or just like
all the above of what you said. Yeah.
Okay.
Some story
They
elements, some
improved
tweaks.
things that people hated. Yeah.
Yeah, they even said that they connected it better to the second game with some of the stuff that they're added in this one.
I mean, I haven't played the original
cool.
like front to back in a long time. Like I remember, I think a couple years ago, I plugged in my PS3. I was like, hey, let me like I'm in the mood to play Dead Space, and I got like to chapter 2, and then I was just kind of like and then something else, maybe a new game came out, and then I started playing that. Yeah, Dead Space. I love Dead Space, the very first one. It's my second favorite horror game. If I was to, rank
What's
it.
Your first?
Resident Evil 2.
2. Okay.
Yeah, 2 would be my favorite. I love the setting of this one. I love the claustrophobic atmosphere of this one with the Ishimura, and then like it's just this kind of like almost like tube-like ship that you're just on this tram and you go down it from section to section, but then you do go back to previous sections and things are getting like more like everything's morphing and changing and getting like more twisted because the necromorphs are sort of starting to spread out throughout the ship and everything. So it's like it's becoming more horrifying because places that were like safer in the beginning, when you go back to them, it's like, oh, that's not the case anymore. So so that's terrifying. But yeah, I love just the simplicity of like, oh, these are just the way you kill these enemies is you're specifically cutting off their limbs, but like because of the design of the plasma cutter and the other weapons that you're getting, like you're having to pinpoint your attacks in that kind of fun way of like, again, aiming for certain limbs and stuff like that. And I don't know, there's just something really fun about that. It adds a little extra layer of just simply being like, oh, just shoot them in the head or whatever, or just shoot them a bunch. It just adds that kind of extra fun to it. Like Derek said, everything about the lighting, the audio design is fantastic. Visually, it does look amazing. I was trying to think in my head if it did look better or not as good as Callisto. In my head, I feel like Callisto maybe did look better, but I guess I'd have to go back and check again. I guess I don't have
it on PS5, Dan, for this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it looks phenomenal. So by no means is it like this looks like a 7 and Callisto is like a 10 or something. Like in my head, I was like, it's very close, but I'd have to have it side by side.
I've heard there's virtually no loading screens. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
seen any now that you.
I haven't gone onto the tram.
I haven't had any loading.
Okay, yeah, because I know you get on the
maybe
tram.
Some clever loading like the train, right?
Sure,
It's probably clever because like on the tram, all you see is like this arrow moving, like showing you're moving, but you're just sitting on the ship. Like there's
You're
nothing,
probably
like you're not
loading, yeah.
seeing anything. You're probably loading the level.
Otherwise, when you're in a section, like there's no like it's just it's you're just going from section, because again, it's not like a huge game. It's pretty linear. And again,
It's
Extremely
spaceships, that's
confusing.
corridors, you
Yeah.
know. So it's not like
Yeah,
wide
everything
open
looks very
vistas
similar,
or anything like
so
that.
it gets very confusing for me.
Does
So
this game have big
another
boss
thing
battles
I
in
wanna,
it? I never played it. Is this a big boss battle game too? Does it have big boss encounters?
I fought a
gear.
couple, 2 or 3 bosses.
Okay. Like, is it like a
One-
unique thing where it's
one
creative
won't
and there's
die.
stages? Is it okay? Okay.
And since I was new to the game, I didn't know he was a jerk like that, so I had wasted a bunch of ammo on him. He kept coming back, and then there was a couple other that I fought that were
I'm
like,
remembering now. There's one I think I'm gonna come up, because I haven't gotten onto the tram for the first time yet, but I know there's a point where in the beginning of the game you get on the tram, and then I think you get to like sort of like the main like command area, the front of the ship or something. Does that sound correct, Eric? Do you remember that, or you got on the tram for the first time? And okay, well, there's like I think there's kind of like a bigger fellow, like one of the bigger fellows you find in the ship. So yeah, I remember that boss fight, and then in my head I actually do remember like the very last one, which is actually pretty insane and pretty cool.
Yeah, cool.
I won't be too specific about that one, but that one's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's very Resident Evil, just on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So,
much so.
Kyle,
Very
you're playing it
cool.
too. This is a game you were already a fan of, the original.
Yeah.
What are you thinking so far from what you've experienced in the new one?
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice reminder that, I mean, I played a few hours of Callisto Protocol, and like I would never call anything in that game ever scary for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I've maybe screamed aloud 3 times,
Tense.
and like not like a girl, like you know, like it'll get a little rise out of me, and like the hairs will stand on the back of my
Stand
neck,
up
and
a
I'm
little?
just like, oh yeah, this is what this is supposed to feel like, you know. And I don't know if Callisto Protocol ever did that to me one time, so. And I'm only in the first hour and a half of the game, so
Yeah, Callisto Protocol wasn't very tense. This game's very tense. Now, granted,
very tense.
I think it's more tense if you play it on normal. Me playing it on easy does take away from the tension, but that's my fault. But somebody else who's just playing on normal, and you know the enemies are more powerful and they can literally destroy you real fast, it adds a lot of tension to this game. There's a lot of tension to it.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So before we move on to the next game, do you guys think a game like this, and maybe you have to finish it to really know for sure, is this the kind of game that you'd be like, yeah, this is a brand new experience in 2023, or it's like, no, this is just the best version of something that already existed? Like, does this feel like the same game, just really pretty and easier to play, or is it kind of Final Fantasy style almost, where they really remade it?
For me,
I
it's
feel
probably
like
a little
this
more in the
is-
Final Fantasy department.
Okay.
I feel like there's enough quality of life changes to the controls and stuff like that. And,
Or like Resident Evil 2 maybe is a better example. And
Yeah, like Resident Evil 2
Yeah,
Remake, I counted as a new
yeah.
experience that
Maybe
year.
those
'Cause
are
it was
better
just it
examples.
was from the ground up, redesigned assets.
It was enough
similar.
tweaks where it's different.
Yeah. So I think Resident
Okay.
Evil Remake 2 is like a very good parallel in
Cool.
terms of how to deal with this, at least in my mind, you know.
that's great.
Yeah.
I
Because
think Resident
seven
Evil
remake
4 will
is,
fit that as well. Like
think-
Resident
Yeah,
Evil
I
4
think-
is not going to be exactly how we remember Resident Evil 4. There's going to be improvements. There's going to be changes to.
Which
I'm
happened in 2
hoping
and
they're
3 as
actually
well.
going to f with the
Yeah.
story a little bit.
Me too. Me too.
But anyways, that's basically what they've done here with Dead Space. Does it still feel like you're playing Dead Space? Like, is it that significant of a change? Like, to me, I don't think it's as big of a jump as like Final Fantasy VII.
no.
That's
maybe
a
Final
huge
Fantasy
jump,
Remake
but
is
closer to
is like a
Resident
small
Evil.
step up,
but it's
you know.
definitely like
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2. And
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't personally have a problem if somebody's like, this is going to be in my top 10 for 2023. I wouldn't be like, no, you can't count it. It's an old game. Like,
Yeah.
It seems like there's
It's a new
enough
game.
about it that it's a new experience, like the Resident
It's a new
Evil
experience.
games. Yeah, that makes
Yeah, I mean
sense.
they rebuilt all the assets, so you know, like it's
they
new, it's as new as can be. Just it
As new as
definitely
it gets.
follows. Yeah,
I mean, this is
definitely
clearly
follows
a
certain
corpo
blueprint.
money grab, but
yeah,
It's a waste of
obviously.
resources for sure.
They could have made Dead Space 4. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
let's be
They could
honest.
have, no, but no one said they wanted to waste resources on
Of course.
this
Well,
this 9 out of 10 game.
someone didn't waste any resources on Goldeneye because even the glitchiness of that game is still intact.
It's back. It's all back, baby.
It's all back. The entire experience. But hey, listen, Goldeneye's out on. I think it's on Xbox and Switch, right? Is that where?
Where's my PlayStation?
Is it on PlayStation?
No.
You're right, because Rare owns it and Sony won't play ball with
Yeah,
Microsoft. So
Microsoft's like, at this point, after you're getting us sued, you get nothing.
I just picture Microsoft like the person handing out candy to everyone, but they get to Sony and they're like, "No, you don't get one of these. You weren't nice to me.
No.
You weren't nice to me."
And then hands it to the other person who's Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. Here you go, Nintendo. So
it's on Game Pass, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Not on
Why
PC
am I not
though.
seeing
Not
it
on
just
PC.
on Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Just on
There
Xbox.
you go.
So Kyle, you had mentioned in our chat that just kind of muscle memory, you just flew through that first level. What are your thoughts on this as you're revisiting?
Gosh, yeah, I haven't played that game in 20 years, and then my very first thought to myself was like, boy, I'm not gonna remember what to do on this damn level. And like literally, like I went into a fugue state, and like my eyes rolled back into the back of my head. And when I came back to, I'd completed the level. Like it was literally almost just like that. Like I was really doubtful at first, and then all of a sudden I was running through the level, playing it exactly how I used to when I was 10 or whenever that game came out. I think it was 96, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 10 for me. And just I remember everything about like running through that level and everything like that. And it was I think I called it the most purest form of nostalgia I've had in a long time. I was just like, oh, it really brought me back to some simpler, some simpler, amazing times of just like running through these levels over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna beat this game. I promise.
Yeah.
I probably will go all the way through it again. It was that much fun to go to go back to for me.
And you can see the N64 polygon version of Sean Bean. You know,
it's all so horrifically ugly looking. Like it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
But back then it looked pretty good.
Back then there was never going to be anything better. And again, like the controls are modern now, so like L2 like zooms in and R2 shoots. It's not all this weird N64 controller BS.
Remember the N64s with the C buttons, the directional buttons on the.
No one remembers that. You know why? Because we blocked it out like it was trauma.
Right? Yeah, the strafing. Oh my
god, with the C buttons.
So bad.
Hate it.
And I remember as a kid trying for. I think I had to like eventually find some kind of magazine with like the guide or something like how to unlock those 2 bonus levels at the end. There was 2 bonus levels at the end.
I put the Moonraker.
That's right.
I could not for the life of me figure out how to unlock. Eventually, I found out. I don't remember how. I must have read something.
You had to just go through all the
probably
levels
Nintendo
on, like,
Power because the power's in your hands or something.
Maybe.
Like that. Isn't that
but it wasn't it like you had to beat the time on hard, right? Because I know there's different difficulty levels, and I think there's different things you get when you play on each difficulty level, right?
Yep. Because then you like depending on what you beat and different parameters and stuff like
you'll
unlock like cheats that you can add on and everything.
Yes.
Now, does this re-release have the multiplayer piece? Like, can you play online with folks?
Not online. I think online's only on Switch, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
we talked about this a few months ago with the announcement of this. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, right. So if you bust out that Switch,
and we're like, Xbox, don't you
game.
own Rare? Like, what's going on?
I don't know what the deal was there. Yeah, I would.
Very strange.
That's just weird to me, you know. I would love to go slappers only in facility, like online with everybody present.
Dude,
you know,
so
we'll never get to do that.
Slappers only.
Yeah. Proximity mines and rocket
but Rare was owned by Nintendo when this game came out.
Right, so I think there might be some licensing thing.
So Nintendo probably has more. Yeah, probably has more stake in.
Like, we'll let you make this game,
but it's funny of the two.
Online.
Which platform do you think? Oh yeah, online gaming.
Xbox.
Switch
Xbox all day.
or Xbox? Like it's not even close.
It was always backwards in my head to me. Like it's just that's weird to me. But whatever.
But it's here. And how much is GoldenEye on Switch? Do you know? I know it's on
Game Pass.
it's
free as long as you have online.
You have to have the expansion pack. Yeah.
Oh, it's on the expansion pass plus.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So it's kind of just a free game, no matter how you slice it. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
You know that's
free,
not free, right?
And yeah, I know. I have to like do the quotation mark thing because people are really.
And you don't ever even own it. You're just subscribing.
You're just like you pay a subscription fee.
You're like
so
renting it. Got it. I'll rent it.
I
love how we have to insult society after every topic that we do now. We
should start a podcast where we just make fun of like airport.
Do that.
Yeah.
Called Everyone Else is the Worst.
And waitresses.
Everyone but me sucks.
Exactly. Dude, one of the best surprises this week, and we'll get to this with the developer direct later, was Hi-Fi Rush. Seeing Microsoft come out swinging in 2023 with a really strong console exclusive. I don't know if it's timed exclusive or not. I think it's going to stay console exclusive. I could be wrong. It might end up
stay with them because they own them.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Microsoft owns
their
Tango,
studio.
right?
They're
Bethesda,
an arm of Bethesda. Yeah,
I forgot that they own them because of Bethesda. Well, there you go. So Hi-Fi Rush is out, and it was a surprise drop. One of the last things I would have expected when you told me there's a Microsoft Developer Direct is that they were going to shadow drop a game from Tango, like maybe some little indie game, like maybe something smaller, maybe even like Hollow Knight. They got I thought maybe something little. But no, this was a major game release that the people behind Evil Within 1 and 2 were behind. I gotta tell you, when they revealed it, my first thought was, oh boy, one of these experimental things that I don't care about. Dude, it is so cool. It's so good. And I want to get Jeff's thoughts first, not only because he didn't play the last 2 games we talked about, but also because he just tried it out today for the first time.
Yeah.
Can I just throw out there, though?
Right.
Because you said the people from Evil Within, but not just the people, specifically Shinji Mikami. Who is that? The father of Resident Evil.
Yeah, the grandfather.
Yeah, but I don't think
of horror games.
He didn't have to do with this game. He's the studio head. But
I don't.
Was he not involved in developing this at all?
No, he's not directing the game or anything. But yeah, he's the studio head. Yeah, and the guy who was during the announcement, the game director was standing beside him, and he even said to him, "This is your game. Why don't you tell them about it?" So like,
okay. See, I thought Shinji Mikami actually was involved with.
I mean, he might have been, and
probably just okayed it.
Yeah.
He just said,
which is still like, imagine taking that to like the guy who created horror games. Be like, hey, can you make this big, vibrant, colorful game, please? And he's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
like, that had been the hardest pitch in the entire world.
When do the monsters come out?
Yeah,
they never come out.
When are we gonna terrify everybody?
It's kind of
Jeff,
like
what do you think about it so far?
Radio.
You got it in the background there, Hi-Fi Rush with the lead character Chai and the cat 808. What do you think about this game, just in your initial first impressions? Because I've got some thoughts too.
Yeah, it's the most first impression you could get because I'm still getting all the hints from robots that you stumble upon on each level.
Smidge.
Refrigerator,
yeah, Smidge. That's what it is, Smidge. Yeah. So like the last training thing I did was timing the rhythm and then hitting the final blow where the circle collapses or whatever.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about if you've played it. It is a rhythm-oriented melee game. But there's like a story-based reason for why there's a rhythm, like why there's music involved in the game. That I thought was really clever because you normally don't need to do do that if you're a game that's rhythm-oriented. You just
they could have just had to control this guy.
Just go play it, you know, But they chose to like put this interesting combat.
It's pretty clever
in a very cool story and like some really freaking sane animation style. Like this is like in game. Like it's basically like Into the Spider-Verse, but a little more crisp and clear type of animation style. So I guess it kind of borrows a lot from anime too, especially with the talking cat. Yeah, dude, right out of the gate though, I'm like immediately hooked by the style, and this is definitely going to come up again. And I know it's too soon to declare this in January.
No, man, it's not too soon for this one.
It's 100% going to come up again in the best visuals debate.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Game of the year, guys.
It's got this like Sunset Overdrive, Ratchet and Clank, Into the Spider-Verse, all these little pieces of these other experiences I've had, but it's still totally unique. I think it's really
unique. As soon as I saw it, I thought it was Jet Set Radio style.
Jet Set Radio,
because you've got the music, and then you've got the cartoony like atmosphere and everything like that.
It's easy to draw that.
Yeah.
So I was actually interested. I was interested because I love Jet Set Radio, but then when I found out it was rhythm based, I was like, nope, I'm not even downloading this. And then Jesse White said, yeah, it's rhythm based, but it's more like I'm not even paying attention to rhythm. It's more like it gives you bonuses if you hit on the rhythm.
Yeah, they say that in the direct.
Play the game.
Explain that.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. Well, then maybe I'll play this because
it's on Game Pass. Why not?
Well, yeah, but I've got like 17 games, so I wasn't like in a
fair enough.
Well, you're almost
you're
done
about
with
to
all
beat
of
two
them
of them, so you're doing good.
Still got Fire
Emblem.
So I fired this up thinking like this will be something I can at least say, hey, I tried it, but it's not for me.
Right.
I legitimately thought I'll be able to say on the podcast, yeah, I gave it a shot. I can see people liking it, but it's not for me. And I am 100% going to keep playing this game. I played about an hour and a half, 2 hours of it, and I love it. and I think it's so good. I think the art style is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I've already kind of chuckled out loud a few times, and I don't know if it's because it's actually that funny or if I'm just like surprised at how good this overall experience is, and I'm just having fun. So like some of the interactions with Smidge the robot, or some of the things that Chai says, because he's kind of like this dude bro dummy who gets thrust into this situation, and some of the stuff he says as he's pretending to be a rock star. I just think it's funny. I just think it's very endearing.
It has a charm. It has a charming personality to it. It has a fun cartoon like anime.
It feels like very Saturday morning cartoon vibes.
Saturday morning cartoon, but yeah, the kind that I would like put on for my kids, but then kind of watch from the kitchen. Like, well, this is kind of cool. I like this. Like, I would kind of watch it too.
Yeah.
So it's got those vibes. I think it's really well done. The first boss fight, I think, Kyle, you got to the boss fight too, right? And Dan, did you play this at all?
No, but I was watching one of my streamer buddies. He was playing it. He was super into it. He was feeling it. I was like, this is really fun. And visuals are like.
No, and Kyle, the boss fight was actually like surprising. Hey, they added something. It's not super difficult, but it's just fun because they give you some different layers to go after, right? With the boss fight.
Yeah. Some 9 Inch Nails starts playing, and everything going to the beat from everything the boss is doing to what you're doing and everything like that. Like I think I sat there smiling the entire time. Like I was playing that boss fight. It was so absolutely charming and so cool. And
I actually like the rhythm part. I thought like Derek, like I don't really want a rhythm game, but this is a little more in the realm of Metal Hellsinger, although different, where it's like you're rewarded for playing with the beat, but you can't avoid not playing with the beat. Like if you want to successfully dodge an enemy, they're going to attack on the beat too. So you're going to dodge on the beat, and you're going to jump on the beat, and you're going to swing on you're just going to as you play it. So
but even just fun little things of like, because the way he's running, he runs to the rhythm of
as soon as you start going on. As soon as you get control, his feet his feet tap on the ground.
He
rhythm.
taps and snaps like
and
while
he's
standing there.
He'll snap his feet
depending on what the song is, which all the music they created for the game too, also very good. So it's like you just get some really good rock songs that they picked, to play at key moments and boss fights. Yeah. But also the in-game music they created, like in studio, very good as well.
They did that specifically for like streaming. There's the streamer mode or whatever. So like it basically changes the music, so you're not getting like that the penalty dinged or whatever, because that's how it needs to be with music apparently. It just looked really fun. I do want to play it. I haven't yet, but
it reminds me of like. Think of the charm of like early Marvel movies where like the hero sometimes, especially like a Guardians of the Galaxy or something, where the hero's kind of thrust into a situation and kind of almost accidentally having success, or a little like there's something to that. And that's kind of what Chai's doing, where his guitar is formed on this wrench that he picks up. And he's just kind of like, what? Okay. Like there's something about that kind of clumsy, lovable charm, and that just works, and the whole game has that going, and it's got some fun little collectible things in there. There's lots of challenges. Once you get to the base after that first boss that Kyle and I finished, you get to it's kind of like this isometric base where you can walk around, you can upgrade some stuff with your new friend that you meet. You can sit on the couch and pet the cat, by the way. That is something you can do.
That's game of the year right there.
Game of the year. Yeah. And then there's a wall of like challenges where it's like, hey, if you do these things 15 times or 50 times, whatever, you can, cash that in for rewards, for more upgrades. So they've got some real lightweight, I would call them lightweight RPG elements, just so you can do some upgrading and go back and retry levels and see if you can get better grades. And the scoring is done on how fast it takes you to clear each area, like each little arena that forms in a fight, but also like how well did you hit with the beat and how many combos did you do and all that kind of stuff. So
I did. I only did 2 ranked battles so far, and like I was able to get an A even without doing a rhythm. Like I wasn't even focusing on the rhythm. I was just attacking, and the time I cleared it and stuff. But yeah, the story, like I mentioned, that the music is the reason that the music is involved in the game is explained in the story. So it's like kind of a nutty. We already mentioned the Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah, we mentioned the story already, so we're good. Listen, pay attention to what we're saying, Derek. Come on.
Is it an interesting story? I wouldn't call it like compelling, where you're like emotionally moved.
If it has a story, is it interesting?
I think it's fun so far.
Yeah, it's fun, but not like you're not gonna be like, I'm gonna be thinking about that story for days.
Like he's just like this. He's like this happy-go-lucky guy who just decides to try something, and because of this really very like out of nowhere course of events, all of a sudden he's now a defect that has to kind of like fight his way out.
And it's like super self-aware. Like
Very
you're
self-aware.
trying to get to like the quality, the tester or whatever to report that. It's all
even
super
the
self-aware,
robots
like
are very
production.
funny. Like there's a lot of humor with the robot guards that you're fighting, like in the cutscenes. And by the way, the cutscene to gameplay transitions are super smooth. And,
Oh my gosh, dude!
And it just looks beautiful. I'm like, how does this look so good? And how does no one know about this game? Like it's really cool. I love that
shadow drops are the best.
I love that no one knew about it. I love that it didn't leak, and there, that we just kind of listen. If this is a sign of things to come from Microsoft in 2023, 2022 will be quickly forgiven and forgotten. If you'd start delivering stuff like this, let's say they do 4 games that just blow us away, including ones we know about. That's going to be a great year for Microsoft if they really deliver on the ones we're expecting. If they deliver on Forza, Starfield, and Redfall, that's a really great year. And if they have any other surprises like this one, it might be one of their best years.
Eric's indiscretions from our last episode, he will forgive Xbox.
Yeah, because last year was bad, and even Phil Spencer has talked about that. Last year was bad.
I don't know why he didn't admit it when we were in last year, and he could have said, "Oh man, we didn't have anything this year. Sorry, guys."
Yeah.
It's like, why are you saying this now that you've seen the numbers? Like whatever.
Yeah.
He knew.
Yeah.
He freaking knew.
He knew.
You freaking knew.
He knew.
Didn't know anything. Plead the fifth.
Dude, this is one thing I don't know. Is Forspoken a good name? Like, everyone has a strong opinion about this game. Some people say it's amazing. Some people say it's fine. Some people are saying it's like pure trash. Let's bring back an old phrase: trash, garbage, trash. What is it? Derek, you've beaten this game already. Give me your thoughts, and then whoever else has played it, give me your thoughts too.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not trash, and anybody who thinks it's trash, they're trash to me. I don't think it's amazing. Mainly because I guess I would be comparing it to any other third-person open world action game, and when I look at the quality of like the voice acting, the dialogue, all that stuff, it's just very AA standard. But to me, where it feels very AAA is I personally, and I heard in reviews complaints about this, I thought the open worlds, because there's multiple worlds that you explore or multiple areas that you explore that are very, very open, were awesome. Like, and the way they're set up, the way the game's designed is they've got a bunch of stuff you can go do, but it doesn't feel like Far Cry where it's like, oh, there's just a ton of stuff and why am I doing this? Everything feels connected and it's all optional, but it always adds to you. So what I mean by that is so you already know you can traverse in this game. Well, once you unlock it, you can traverse extremely fast and smoothly. And so you can just go from place to place extremely fast. Well, while you're doing that, there's a bunch of I don't know what they're called, but they basically look like lights on the ground, like puddles of lights, and you just run through them, and that's your leveling up. So what you're doing is you're collecting like these orbs or whatever that you use as your currency to unlock more abilities or to level up certain abilities. So that gives you a reason to, every time you spot a light, you're like, well, it's only like 20 yards away. I might as well just run over there real quick. And I basically spent the first day that I played, so that first 5 hours, I wasn't even focused on main story missions. That doesn't mean I wasn't doing them, but I was mainly just running around the world, collecting the orbs, lights, whatever. And then any side content I ran into, I did it. Anything. It doesn't matter if it was just clearing out camps, if it was I forgot what they're called, but they have like underground caves where you go through they're not that big, but you go through them and then
something.
Yeah, and you fight like a boss. So and in each area they tell you what your reward is. So it might be fingernails, which again, this all sounds weird, but your equipment is fingernails, whatever it is, like basically what I'm wearing right now. Yeah,
Nothing?
cloak. Yeah, a cloak.
His birthday suit.
A birthday suit. Cloak, and then what's the other thing? Oh, and then your necklace. Those are your
Wow, this is a
three
very
like
sexist game. This is what
yeah,
girls
those are
probably
your
like.
three like armor things. Like they basically contribute to your magic and your
Gotcha.
defense and all that
Okay.
stuff.
And you
Your
can
So, like
swap.
I
health
said,
You can
and
swap those things up.
critical, yeah.
You swap those things
So-
around, right? You can kind of like swap things in and out. depending
Yeah,
on what
you
want.
unlock more
Yeah.
and more. Like I ended up unlocking like 10 cloaks and I had like 6 or 7 necklaces and I
You
did
can
not
add
care.
augments to each like
Yeah,
piece
you
as
can
okay.
well,
upgrade
Yeah.
them.
Like stat
So you can
boosts, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
stat
you
boosts,
can
yeah,
upgrade,
buffs
you
and
can
stuff like that.
upgrade
Yeah.
the stats, all that stuff. So that's why I said like it's one of those open worlds where it's actually fun to explore because everything you're doing is actually adding to your character. You're not just going to like hunt one animal that you've got to then get like 20 of them to maybe unlock a pouch.
Gotcha.
That's not how it works. This is like you're just running from place to place collecting orbs to level up your character while knocking out like maybe getting a new thing of fingernails or whatever. So I found it just fun to play. And then the only like let me take a sip real quick. The only thing they do is so when you first unlock your magic abilities, you're kind of in those abilities for half the game. And then the other half is when you start unlocking more abilities. It kind of feels like unless you stay away from the main story and just explore the world like a lot and put in 30 to 40 hours in this game, you don't get to play with those abilities as much as you really should.
Mm.
And then the other thing is that the story here's what I was trying to tell Kyle in chat. Here's how I feel about the story without spoiling it. So, okay, again, characters for the most part, they're terrible. I like the banter between the Cuff and the lead character. Is she annoying because she's negative Nancy? Absolutely. She's overly negative. And even towards the end of the game, you expect her to make that turn, and she starts to make that turn, but she's still really, really negative. So she's not for me, and I guess most people that review, she's not likable at all. I like Cuff though. I thought Cuff was cool. He's, I think, the voice actor from the Assassin's Creed games. He's like the smart dude who like talks to you, and he's always negative and rude.
Yeah. He's
To the
smarmy.
main.
He's like a wise ass.
Yeah, that he was
Yeah.
playing the same character. So if you don't like him in Assassin's Creed, you're not gonna like him here. I liked him in Assassin's Creed, and I liked him here. But the story is semi interesting. They don't reveal a lot. You're kind of like, oh, Alice in Wonderland. Why is she here? And she's got all these questions. But the biggest mistake they made is, first of all, their little plot twist at the end. I approve. I liked, and I was like, cool.
A lot of people did, from what I read.
Yeah, I was like, you hinted at this, but you didn't give it away, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I called it. I didn't call it. Okay.
Interesting.
But I thought it was good. The problem I had is they literally took an entire chapter at the end of the game and they just dumped everything on you that was stolen. So you've played a bunch of chapters. I'm not going to give you the numbers because I don't want to spoil when it happens, but a bunch of chapters where you're barely getting anything, and then you just have one chapter is like an hour and a half of just like, stop freaking talking. Why are you telling me this? Why did you not spread this out? Why did you just dump it all in one chapter and then you play another chapter and the game's over? And I'm like, okay, you
so there's just lore dump, typical JRPG like lore dump, like
it's
towards the end of the game.
It's kind of typical Square if you take Final Fantasy 15 into mind, also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because 15 is like.
Oh yeah,
like
here
open.
We forgot to tell you the story. Yeah.
Yeah, because in 15 it's like open for a long period of time, and then you get on like a train, and then it's just like super linear for like the remainder of the game.
And it's just like it just throws a bunch of story at you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and the last couple chapters are linear, but they warn you, so it's not like you don't know. So I'm okay with that. It was just the amount of dump that I was like, come on, guys, this is done terribly. But like I said, as they're dumping all this information, you're going, it's a pretty cool world. Like, I should probably care about these people, and I don't, because they're terribly acted, and you dumped all the information at the very, very end instead of really like kind of scattering it out and making me actually care about these characters, because a lot of stuff's rushed. Like So you don't like the protagonist. No, I'm gonna go on a limb and say 99% of the people that play this game are gonna be like, I don't like the protagonist.
Hold on, real quick though, because you said
Racist,
rushed.
sexist. Got it.
You said rushed, and it's funny because this game's been in development for like I don't know, like 7 years. Like so,
Yeah.
the fact that it
Well,
feels
I'm
that
more
way.
talking like the pacing, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like the main character, once she gets into this world, she meets another character, and clearly they want you to care for this other character, but they rush it extremely fast, and then they do dramatic things, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care that happened, and they want you to care because they keep going back to it throughout the game. They're like, this person, and I'm like, I don't care about that person. So I don't think they did a very good job of the story. Although, like I said, I did like how they ended it. I thought they did a
twist
great job.
too.
Yeah, I like the twist, and the gameplay is phenomenal. Like that's why I give this game a 7. It's a 5 or a 6. But that's how much fun.
Now, when you say
is.
gameplay, you're talking about combination of parkour and combat. Oh, okay.
Parkour and combat.
Yeah. People seem to like that. Either be somewhere between it's okay to it's great. Not many people dislike the combat from what I've heard. Maybe a few.
Yeah,
most
even
think it's fine or good.
Most even lower end reviews. Now, I didn't go and check out GameSpot and all those people that are giving it 5s. They may have not liked the way it played.
Yeah, it's possible.
But even the people that were giving it 6s and 7s were like, I only gave this game a 7 because it's so much fun to play. Otherwise, it would have gotten 4s and 5s if it was average to play. So they nailed that, and they definitely have the lore and the world, and they can improve the characters to create a sequel. I don't think they will. I think this is going to fail because it's a black female, and it's going to get canceled, and then we're gonna get a white lead on a different game that's very similar. Maybe it'll just
I can't wait to play White Spoken. I'm looking forward to that one.
White Spoken.
Yeah.
White silence is what it'll be.
Oh boy, God.
It'll be a silent white male protagonist.
Like to be honest, like perhaps because there's like there are a billion people live on this friggin' planet, right? So yes, like mathematically that is true that there are probably people that are stupid enough that are like, well, it is a black woman, so I'm racist and I don't want to play that game. But like the narrative overall, when people, but I'm saying they exist, like they exist. I'm saying, but like the fact that it's just like a lot of people that are like getting mad that people are bitching about the dialogue of the game. Then throwing in the race thing, it's like, but why? I don't care that she's black.
This is not as somebody who jokes around about being progressive, but he's not, obviously, and I will call out if I think something's like libtard bullcrap. This game never felt libtard bullcrap. Like I never once was like, oh my gosh, they're just trying to force me to like women and black people, and I was like, it had nothing to do with that. Is it female and is she a strong independent woman? Yeah, that's all layered in there. That doesn't bother me. It wasn't. There was only one scene where I was like, oh, okay. Did you take this from a Marvel movie? But other than that, they did a good job of just letting it.
I assume you mean that complimentary because Marvel movies are awesome. That's why.
The bad parts of Marvel movies.
I don't know. Those don't exist.
Did a bunch of women congregate?
Exactly what I'm saying, Dan.
Oh no! I was being sarcastic.
That's the only part of Marvel movies where I like roll my eyes. I'm like, please stop. Just stop, please.
You're just saying that because I'm a woman. There's none of those.
Spoiler alert. Whoops.
So, but like basically, I thought overall this is a fun game. I would love a sequel. I really would. It bums me out that people hate it this much, and it does feel like it's one of those, and we've talked about this before, where it's like people aren't playing it, but they're jumping on the hate train. They're like, "Yep, I was right. This game's trash. I knew it was gonna be
if
trash."
You haven't played it, just shut up. You know,
I just don't think
that's kind of where I'm at. Like all this. Like,
I don't think it's trash.
You gotta at least put an hour into it, not even the demo. I mean, like the real game, or a couple hours or something, and then you can talk about it to your heart's content. But like, if you have strong opinions about this game and you haven't played it, just shut up.
Some people just really, really revel in something else failing, whether it's critically failing or They just love it.
It's
I
the
don't know what
the
it is.
whole like I called it. I saw it.
Yeah. People want to be right about like predicting the
about
quality
anything.
of something.
Yeah,
You know,
people
like
just want to be
I'm sure
right.
I've done that about some things before, but there are some people who do it about everything. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
it's a little much.
It's almost like if you say every game's gonna be delayed, you're gonna be right every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not
I don't know anything
bad-mouthing our
about that. I'm
delays
just
are.
right. I don't know
You're not
about that.
bad mouthing our delays are right now, are you? You better not be.
I will upset all of
You know
the
what?
release dates if you make me angry.
Kyle's gonna delay your
alright?
life.
I'll
gonna
delay all of it.
your whole life. You'll delay it.
I'm actually curious because Kyle, you announced that you actually gave in and bought it. Did you play it at all? I was
Yeah, I
curious
played a
if
lot
you-
of it. Yeah, quite a bit of
cool.
it.
I want to hear your take.
Yeah. You know, I will say immediately, I hated everything about the demo of this game. Literally everything. But after hearing a lot of people talking about it and stuff like that, and kind of after what Derek just said about how the magic is like piecemealed out to you, it's piecemealed out across the entire game. Half the powers of which you don't even get till the later half of the game. So the demo just throwing you in with everything unlocked. That's an insane thing to do. I know some people ended up liking it because they cracked it without the tutorial. You know, they were just playing around with it enough, maybe just to kind of get the feel for it. But like the game, like taking its pace, like I'm still just shooting stuff with like R2 right now, and I think I have something on L2. You know, so it's like it's really simple right now, but like I can wrap my head around that. You know, like so it's just I'm kind of enjoying that the game is paced out a little better than what the demo kind of showed. And I emptied out into the open area as well, and I've already really enjoyed kind of exploring around too because the parkour is so fun.
Yeah, you like traveling around, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's actually
so
it actually is kind of fun. You know, there's a locomotive kind of nature to it and everything. If you want to stop for some battles, great. If you want to stop for that side thing to get some extra stuff, great. You know, gaming's favorite trend right now, scanning. You hit a button and you know, it's like
scan.
it's in there, baby. So
yeah.
like that's
Very
there,
helpful
but, like,
though. 'cause
it's
there's
super
a lot of
helpful, and I
hidden
actually
stuff,
I actually like that mechanic. So you know, it's
Dude, when games have a scan feature, I scan all the time.
Oh yeah,
scan
I have to get a new
Well, as long as
controller
you don't have to
after.
stop
Oh, that
and, like,
that
scan,
particular button
that's
is
when I
pressed
hate it.
in completely.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Like, I think
but I'm-
Assassin's Creed has some sort of scan. I think it was the newer ones where you do a scan and it would like highlight things you can collect. I'm scanning every 10 seconds in those games.
Yeah, that was
just
me in
scan
Death Stranding. Just like you know, just constantly.
Scan.
But yeah, I actually really enjoyed the combat a lot. You fight a big old dragon that's in the back of Derek's wallpaper pretty quickly in the game, and like it's a big playground of like, hey, you need to dodge a lot in this game, and just like doing all the parkour dodges and everything, the spectacle of everything, all the particle effects and everything.
It was actually
like
a cool dragon fight. Most games can't do cool dragon fights.
It was
Like,
exciting.
dragons are
Yeah,
usually-
they're like there's exciting
dragons are
stuff.
usually like for some reason they can't move and they can just spit fire at you. This one was like
yeah,
all
this one's
over
pretty
the place.
mobile. Yeah, he's pretty quick and everything like that.
Mobile.
It just felt good to fight him.
mobile.
Yeah, we'll go mobile. I
know what you're talking about, Derek, with God of War. Yeah, like God of War is like
well, even Skyrim.
He's like,
it's
hold on to the sides.
big dragon comes down and like lands right there, and he's just cemented there for.
There's a
100
ton of
hits.
games that do that. I think even
Yeah.
Dragon Age, the ones before Inquisition did that too.
Hang on, let me get my head close enough for you to hit me with your axe.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's in. Hit his legs until he kneels down. You know. But yeah, I will say the first hour of this game has so much dumb gamer padding.
Sure.
And it's an
York
hour's worth of gamer
character.
padding where it's just like,
Sure.
yeah, you could wrap this all up in a cutscene, but it's like, hey, the game's gonna stop doing a cutscene so you can like walk really slowly to have exposition dumped on you to the next like cutscene. It's just stupid. This is not like it's just I don't know. And hey, we're gonna do the stealth section, but like you're not really stealthing. You're just following a person who's gonna follow you directly where you need to go. That could be a cutscene, like a 2-second cutscene, like knock out 20 minutes of that.
I heard there was a lot of fading to blacks, like a lot. Like
a lot of fading to black. My game would sometimes full stop as it transitioned from gameplay to cutscene, like full stop, and
you're
then
on PS5 too, Kyle.
PS5, yeah.
That's where I'll be whenever I
feel like it seems like it wasn't optimized a lot because like how big is the file size?
I had some really weird stuff. Like you start off in the game in New York, and like cars going down the street were like a foot off the actual street, like driving,
I've seen
like
that.
not
I've
on
seen
the
that.
ground. You know,
Just like real life.
I think
Elon makes.
Yeah, this is the future.
He
apparently, yeah. So like, it's just weird stuff. Nothing that I was like, oh, this is garbage. But I was just like, yeah, this is definitely could have used some more time in the oven, maybe, which is weird because it has had such a long development cycle.
They kept putting it back in the oven.
Yeah. It's actually maybe too cooked, maybe.
Yeah.
I know. It's overcooked.
I don't have any opinion on like Cuffy and the girl, other than like Freya is like every time she does anything, she's like, ugh. Yeah. I guess, and I'm like, this is gonna get annoying really quick. So I don't think, obviously, as Derek said, that's not gonna change. So like, I'm just gonna have to start tuning that out now because it's already annoying to me. I don't hate Cuff either. He's kind of an asshole, and that's kind of fun.
I like it.
She'll take like a lot of credit for stuff, and he's like, I'm actually the one doing that. And like, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Shuts her down.
Yeah, like he's very he's just a smartass. He's a smartass character. I don't know, like some of the character models are really bad. A lot of lip syncing is really bad. There's a lot of just stuff like graphically that's just like, oh, okay, this is not next gen at all. But when you're fighting, like when you're in battle, like all the it's.
Yeah, the particle
that's where all the money
crazy.
went.
Like all the
particle effects are out of this world, man. And like
the
just
Luminous engine is good with that.
The fluidity of battle and everything like that. Like everything feels really good whenever the game's in motion.
Okay.
There's
but
also
like it's the slow moments, and that includes the story and the slow moments of walking around in the world that are like the problems for me with this game.
It's a proprietary engine that it's built in.
This team is the Luminous engine. It's the Luminous engine team.
Yeah, I know they did FF15. I know they did.
Yeah, it was the same engine that they used for 15. It was.
I didn't realize it was like their own thing though. I thought they were.
Yeah. Because when they finished 15, Tabata and the team basically took a small break, and then they formed this separate team. And they were like, all right, well, we're going to work on this new project with this proprietary engine. But then Tabata left Square for whatever reason, because apparently everybody blamed him for 15 not being amazing, even though it wasn't really his fault, but that's fine. But yeah, that's basically
amazing.
What ended up happening.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. That's good.
This game came from that, so.
I do want to just say one last thing. This is just me. Maybe nobody else will feel this way when I was playing it, but several times, especially when you go to like the rest areas, I felt like I was playing like a Harry Potter game. Like the music that would play, and then as you come up,
the music's really good in this game.
Come across like a cottage or whatever, and that's where you go to rest and stuff like that, and just your spells, the way you're shooting the spells around feels like it doesn't. Some of them feel like a gun, but most of them feel like you're in like a Harry Potter movie.
The first 2 hours of this game feels like a third-person shooter.
Yeah,
which is funny.
You guys just got me excited to play Hogwarts Legacy here in 2 weeks.
Oh man!
Yeah.
2 weeks, boy.
That's where the real magic begins.
Ooh, yep. Speaking of February games, let's go over real quick the games coming out in February, and then we're going to talk about the latest episode of Last of Us and then anything else new we're watching. Just a quick preview, though, for February. And I'm curious, as you guys hear this list, why don't you call out one or two that you're like, this is day one, and I'm super hyped for this one. Like, this is my top game for the month. There's a lot.
Way too many. Yeah.
And I only highlighted the main ones that jumped out to me on the list. There's a lot more too. But Deliver Us Mars, the follow-up to Deliver Us the Moon, is coming out to all consoles on February 2nd. Helveti, which I recommend you check out the art style for Helveti. It looks really fun.
Helveti.
It's got two eyes. Helvetii. I think the art style looks really cool. Coming to consoles and PC on February 3rd. Hogwarts Legacy on February 10th, but it's only for PC and the newest consoles. The PS4, Xbox One, and Switch versions are later in the year. So
that's day one. That is absolutely day one.
Yeah, I think I
already got it pre-ordered.
And I know you passed Deliver Us Mars, but I'm totally getting that too. That game looks awesome.
Looks great. And Deliver Us the Moon had great reviews. People loved that game. Wanted Dead comes out on Valentine's Day, February 14th.
That's day one too.
This game looks
day one, man. So excited for this game.
That game looks cool.
There's also a game coming out that day called Blanc. It's coming out on Switch, and it's like you're playing as two foxes or something, but it's black and white, and the animation looks really cool. It's the type of indie game Tim and I would like, and that's about it.
Yeah, the art style on that looks great.
Yeah.
Wanted is supposed to be really hard, by the way.
Which one? Wanted Dead?
Wanted Dead, they said it's like, we wanted to be hard like Ninja Gaiden was hard on Xbox, the original Xbox. And I was like, I'm in on that.
All
right.
I can handle that, but can't handle a Souls game. So
PC gamers,
guess I'm out then.
PC gamers are going to play Returnal on February 15th. So if you want to play Returnal on February 15th, that'll be on PC. Theatrhythm Final Bar Line hits the Switch and PS4 on the 16th, which is like, I think it's the third game in that Theatrhythm series.
Theater, so which I mean literally is a rhythm game of the entire, well, I guess not the entire, but a large catalog of Final Fantasy.
This one's gonna have like 385 tunes. I read.
Oh really? Okay, so maybe it is like the whole.
It's a lot of songs.
It's a lot.
That comes out on the 16th.
Wild West Dynasty comes out that day too on PC. That's early access. But
that one I'm looking forward to. I like a good simulator game, but why not a Western one? I'll play that.
And I think that's first person too, right? Like, I mean, that's one of the Dynasty games.
It's kind of like a
super
survival crafting builder in the Wild West. Kind of like
gotcha.
Tales of Symphonia Remastered on the February 17th for Switch.
Is that next month?
I gotta add that.
17th. Yeah, Tales of Symphonia Remastered. And the same day, February 17th, is Wild Hearts, that new EA.
Yep, pre-ordered.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Jeez.
Big Monster Hunter fan.
That one looks, and they just released some gameplay for that. The game looks fun. I hope it plays as well as it looks. Like, it looks really cool. So
I'll be getting that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one looks fun. Atomic Heart is going to hit all consoles except for the Switch on February 21st. That's a Game Pass game.
I was going to say it's a Game Pass game.
I was going to say day one because it's on Game Pass. So.
It's going to look amazing on PC, dude. It looks so good.
That same day, on the 21st, is Like a Dragon Ishin.
Already pre-ordered.
That's my darling.
This month is insane.
So brutal, dude. The same day.
Because the next day is the PlayStation VR 2 hardware launch with Horizon Call of the Mountain.
Is anybody getting that?
I'm not playing.
Not day one.
Not here.
Absolutely not. No.
Derek, I assumed if anyone was, it was going to be you, but I wasn't sure.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm not. We'll see.
I would buy it if like the circumstances were right, but not at launch. No, thank you.
Yeah, but I'm very interested to hear what everyone has to say about.
I want to play that Horizon game. I hear. I've heard some.
I really want to play
of
Resident Evil Village in it.
Yeah. I heard some whisper. I heard Gran Turismo is going to be out of this world in VR. Like the whole game's going to be available in it. Like I've heard a lot of things about like people who's had their hands on with the system. Like very positive, but still a niche, expensive kind of expansion to your.
It is very pricey. It's $550.
Very pricey.
The headset, $600 if you want a Horizon with it.
I hear that display is like one of the best displays that people are putting in front of their faces when it comes to VR.
Like 1800p or something like that.
Yeah,
Really high.
Wow.
Well, the very next day are two highly anticipated PC games. So not for everybody, but Company of Heroes 3, a really beloved series. Their new entries on the 23rd of February. Also on that day is Sons of the Forest. The first game, The Forest, was a pretty big hit. And Sons of the Forest
looks a survival game, right?
It's kind of like a horror survival thing. Art style looks cool in that game. And then the 24th is Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe coming to Switch.
I am getting that.
Which the art style on that looks really cool.
I know that comes out the same day as Octopath Traveler 2, right? So
Octopath Traveler 2 is also on February 24th.
Excited for that.
God damn it.
To Switch, PS4, PS5, and
getting
PC.
That too. God damn it.
The major expansion for Destiny 2 Lightfall comes out on February 28th.
Pre-ordered.
So that's a pretty big one for Destiny 2 fans. Scars Above, which is a game that a couple of us talked about, comes on the 28th.
Great demo. I'm looking
Here's
forward to
the thing, like I've got at least 7 games. That's if I don't buy a VR.
That's if you don't buy anything else, like anything else that you don't know about yet. That's just.
But I have 7 games for February at least.
Yeah.
And then it's not like oh, but you get a little break so you can enjoy yourself. And then literally the first week of March is 2 like top-notch games that I want. Like The Last of Us Part 1 on PC, and then Wo Long is coming to Game Pass.
Yeah.
So it's unending.
It's crazy. Well, and then for people who liked Darkest Dungeon, the sequel is supposed to hit in February. We'll see if they actually land it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm excited for that. Yeah.
So Darkest Dungeon 2 is supposed to hit.
They're apparently remaking one of the earliest Sherlock Holmes games too, and it's supposed to hit in February sometime. I don't know. Those Sherlock Holmes games are hit and miss for me. They run about like a 6 out of 10 game you would expect it to run, basically.
Right. Yep. Yeah, man. So those are the ones we know of for this coming month. So January, it's been nice. I was just reflecting on like, hey, what a cool start to the year we had. Even a game like Forspoken, which I know is divisive. Like, Gotham Knights was.
I think it's pronounced Divisive.
Divisive. We had some of those games last year too, right? Gotham Knights, Saints Row, and others that click for some, don't click for others. The scores reflect more of like a negative in the 60s. Like Forspoken, I think is at 66, but it's still overall like for those who want it and are enjoying it, they're having a good time with it. But then you had some obvious great games, which are like most people that have played them are great. Fire Emblem Engage, Dead Space, and Hi-Fi Rush was a really fun surprise, and everyone seems to be loving that too. So what a good start.
GameSpot give Fire Emblem like a really low score. I thought I saw it.
GameSpot's on a roll right now, man.
I think they gave like I think it was like a 7. I think.
Oh, I thought it was
Could've
lower,
been a
but you
6.
might be right.
That's still low compared to the average, which
it was
is
basically them
it
saying
wasn't like Three Houses.
they wanted the Three Houses stuff. Like it just doesn't have the relationship stuff from Three Houses, and everyone's like,
and
yeah,
but
still
does.
Three Houses
I feel like I'm still not fighting as much as I'm fighting. You know,
the Three Houses didn't have as much of the combat stuff that Engage has now added. So like it's I don't know. They're both really good.
That's not like I get that reviews are like their opinion based, but it's like, okay, but that shouldn't decrease the score because you don't get to romance people in the game, you fucking weirdo. Like it's like it doesn't make the like.
Yes, you're right. It was a 7. It was One Piece that I saw. I'm not saying One Piece was a masterpiece, but they gave that a 5, and I was like, God,
I saw lots of 7s and 8s for that game though. Yeah.
Yes, I'm like,
it ended up in the high 70s.
Harsh.
Yeah. Yep.
5 for Forspoken, 5 for One Piece.
5 for
7.
Hey, listen, they're trying to use all the numbers in that 10-point scale. They want to make sure they hit all of them.
All the power to them, but like use them right, you know.
Use them correctly. I agree with you. I agree with you. So there you go. There's some stuff for February. Hey, every Sunday night, and we have another episode coming out tomorrow. I'm very excited.
Bill's episode,
we get to watch another entry in The Last of Us, HBO's The Last of Us series. Listen, maybe it's just because I'm currently in it, and it's been a while since I've had like a show that every week I can't wait for the moment that episode goes live. It's been a while since I've had that. I usually just wait till stuff can be binged or whatever. But this one, so far, through episode 2, we won't spoil anything. Don't worry, we're not going to spoil what happens. Like if you whether you've played the game or not, you want to watch the show, totally fine. But just my general impressions, and you guys already talked about it last week. I totally agree with what you guys said. It's amazing. The casting was fantastic. It just hits it perfectly. It's the first time in a long time I rewatched a pilot episode, especially like a nearly 2-hour one, like almost right away. I just watched it again. I was like, this is so good. I just put it back on again. So, and I watched episode 2 just once so far, but I still really, really enjoyed it. I still think they're just nailing the casting and the setting, and some of the changes they're making, I think, fit great and totally make sense. You know, the way that they don't use airborne spores really, and they explain it in the after episode thing where they're like, it's not really going to be something you can keep clumped together like you could in a game environment. Like it's just not going to work as well to explain it. So it all made sense to me, like the way that they.
I don't think they're ruling it out though. They basically, I don't think it was Neil. I think it was the other guy, Craig, who was like, just stay tuned.
Well, in the after episode thing, they said that's why it's okay. It doesn't matter. So regardless, the changes that they've made have been awesome, and I am totally on board with what they've done so far.
Totally,
and I'm absolutely loving it. And I know there's a lot of talk about the way that a certain character kind of took a bow at the end of this episode. If you played the game, this is what happens with this character. And I know there's a lot of talk about the moment that leads up to that and what happens. I thought it was appropriately creepy and eerie and scary, and I thought it worked for what they were trying to do, but some people hated it.
I liked it better than what they did in the game. I think there's a real theme of that they're driving home of like saving who you can. And I feel like the game wasn't really doing that in the way that the show is. Because the game it's supposed to be a video game, you know what I mean? Like it's, so they're able to drive themes home a little more with a TV show.
I also think it was a choice to get away from having constant like armies of humans fighting each other.
Yeah.
So I at first I didn't like the change, but then I thought about it, I'm like, well, they're setting the tone for the rest of the show, and they can't do the show like the game, because if they did that, then they would just have to send waves of enemies after these guys over and over, and that would it would
include
an action infected
show,
yes, and you can't do that. So I thought, okay, I get why you would change it. Now you're not having like an army of people chasing them. You just have these zombies or infected that take this person out, and then they've
appropriately set up how scary the creatures are. Like the creatures scare in the show.
They have to change it, because if you get to the end of the show and you've watched Joel killed 1,000 people to get to the end, like certain
Yeah.
things that happen at the end, like there's no impact there. You know
You're
what
right,
I mean?
man.
So it's
Yeah.
like you have to
Yeah.
pull certain aspects back because you're in a different medium.
That's a good
And
point.
what Jeff was kind of alluding to of them being able to explore themes a little better, like that's totally happening better in the show because that's what a show is an exploration of themes and storytelling in a long form. And I think that especially when you're kind of writing a quasi horror show, when we're talking about this person who's bowing out at the end, sometimes going for something kind of grotesque and weird and scary, that's the horror elements of everyone sitting at a table and going, hey, well, let's deliver something really memorable and weird and uncomfortable and stuff like that. And check. They did all that stuff.
All those.
But
things.
also there was conversations earlier in the episode that kind of set up the thing when you're talking about, like, hey, and this is not spoiling anything, but like, hey, does it ever bother you that these things used to be human or whatever? And it's a reminder that.
Well, I love his response to that too. He's like, sometimes.
Yeah,
It's just a very. He doesn't. They don't try to make him like some cold-hearted. He's been in this 2 decades now. Like, no, he's like, yeah, sometimes. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, he's still human, but
human.
I like that they put one of my favorite like early Ellie isms into the show. That was in the game too, of her just being weird, and then Joel straight up calls it out.
Yeah, you're weird.
You're a weird kid. I mean, it's literally the same exchange as the game, but it's just I just like that they included it because she's freaking weird when she's when they're first getting to know each other and stuff.
Yeah, she's a teenager. I mean, she's just an awkward teenager too.
And there's some very video game moments where it's like, like in the first episode in the game, like whenever Tommy and Joel get split up and you're like, well, that's really convenient. These cars crashing in such a way that, but like in the show, like you don't even think about that. You're like, yeah, they're in an alleyway and like they're cut off. Like, okay, you have to go
like
this
happening
way now.
and running around.
And like even in the game where it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna boost, what's her face up, Tess up, and like it gives them a moment to just like, which happens in the game too. It's like. It doesn't feel video gamey at all. Like it feels like, hey, like no, she's going ahead to scout, and like it gives them a moment to have those just 2 characters on screen.
I think Joel moved a shelf at one point, and TikTok has been running with that as a QuickTime event. They've been like adding the button presses.
Oh yeah, that's funny. That's
like he literally just pushes a shelf out of the way.
So they can one of my favorite memes is people holding an Xbox controller, watching it longingly, like wishing.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love that.
God damn it.
But one of my favorite things they've changed with this one, and I think you guys might have mentioned it in the first episode, but they really hit it in the second one, and that is that there's a connection, like a hive mind for these that they are emphasizing more in the TV show. That I think
love that.
And it's really visually when you see all the bodies like in between those 2 big buildings and they're looking down at them and they all kind of ripple together, and that's when you can kind of see visually how they're all connected. And then the idea of like stepping on a piece of something at the wrong moment, you could wake like a whole horde up.
Yeah, they talk about like underground fungal networks, which are a very real thing.
I think that's such a
fungus
cool way
talk
to
to each other over miles of distance through these underground tendrils, that fungus have. And it's all very real science, you know what I mean? And for them to bake it in, I think Jeff and I both said it's like, cool, we never have to talk about the science ever again in this show. And they're doing it anyways, and I like it.
Kyle, they let Badiatas from our Spartacus show we talked about. He's the one who explained it to us, remember?
Yeah,
John,
absolutely. Yeah.
That's something that I kind of have always found annoying with, like, say, Walking Dead, for example. It's like, all right, so the thing happened, and who gives a shit, like, about solving? It's like, no, but why is that a problem?
Yeah.
Why do people think that's weird? I want them to actually find a solution to the thing, and then like maybe even see how things are after the fact, like because they're not going to be quite the same, right? So I mean that could still be interesting.
Did you like how they did the jump to a different area of the world as things were starting?
That's what I was gonna say. I love that how the second episode ended up going a different route, and to not just tell you the science of it. Actually, they didn't even explain the science of it at all. They were just telling you the scale of it. That's what they were just telling you how bad it can get.
Well, they really show you like the
such a horrifying way.
Right? They kind of really show how the filaments are like the parasite things that are doing the moving. So you see that in the opening scene, and then they play a key role in that little final moment for a person at the end. Those tendril thingies that are kind of the parasite. Anyway. Really, really well done. I'm loving what they're doing. It really makes me want to play these games, and that's why I agree with Derek. That first week of March, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be buying this game on PC again and doing.
The second it goes on sale again, I'm picking this game up to play it again.
$45 on CD keys.
On CD keys, yeah.
Oh, good. That's
for
a good
PlayStation
price.
or for PC?
On PC,
on
Steam,
okay.
right?
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can play on the Steam Deck, huh?
Steam Deck verified? Steam Deck verified?
It has to be. All of Naughty Dog's games are.
Yeah, all of Naughty Dog games are though. So yeah, it probably is.
It's gotta be. So I'm really loving what they're doing. I can't wait for the next episode. And this is one I'll just be rewatching, and I'm loving it.
Same. They're killing it. They're doing it, guys. Like we're watching a no asterisks involved, really good adaptation of a video game. So.
How about it? It's so great.
Yeah, there's no for what it is.
I have so many friends who have never played the game who are like, I am so invested in what's going on and yada yada. Yeah. Joel's just the best. I'm like, okay.
Like, listen, you don't have to tell me.
I didn't mean anything by that, but you know.
Yeah. He just said, no, hang on there, kiddo.
Yeah, hold on there, dude.
Hold on, kiddo.
Call him kiddo. And then Poker Face is a new show on Peacock. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, this is great. Ryan Johnson wrote and directed at least the first episode, and then he stayed and wrote a handful of scripts for the other episodes. This is another home run from Ryan Johnson, in my opinion. It's a crime of the week type of mystery story where Natasha Lyonne plays a character who worked at a casino, and she has a she's just a human lie detector. That's pretty much what they call her. But she's Natasha Lyonne, so she's like very New Yorker, got such an attitude with everybody. When somebody lies to her face, she has a hard time not saying bullshit aloud to them. And she also like to the point where she has to be like, sorry.
She's like full on sassy in every role I've seen her in. Yeah.
She's really funny. And it's effortless for her. But so it starts, episode 1 kind of starts her on this journey of like, what leads her to leave the casino and go on the road, because it is a road story where she's going from town to town each episode and stumbling upon like a murder case or something and helping solve it. It's really fun. It's got like this like weird 70s like cinematography, like film grain over it, and it's got a great score and soundtrack. Great first 4 episodes, man. It's an easy binge. And every episode is like a totally different cast almost. There are some threads that connect, like who's the guy? Benjamin Bratt plays a guy that shows up almost in every episode that kind of follows her around.
Benjamin Bratt, I haven't seen him in a minute.
I know. Adrian Brody's in the first episode, and then the second episode has like some quasi familiar faces. Apparently Joseph Gordon-Levitt shows up later in the season. There's some, it's definitely like a stacked cast, and it's like anthology kind of, but there is a thread connecting her story to.
I think the last time I saw Benjamin Bratt was in Doctor Strange, when he's the guy who had his back healed or whatever.
He got himself healed and using dark magic basically.
Yeah.
And Chiwetel Ejiofor was not happy with that. Yeah, that was a good post-credit scene, dude.
That was great.
Yes, really great. I love that one, man. And then it never came back around in the second one. At all.
I know. Come on, Marvel.
Bad, dude.
All right, well, let's go through some headlines, and then we'll close things out with just anything else. Doesn't matter if it's new that you're playing or watching that you want to highlight, given the time. Anything else new, by the way, that we're missing that you watched or played? Anything like newly released that we should highlight? I think that's everything. We covered a bunch, but
I have all the games that we've talked about installed. And I haven't played them because it's Sundance week, so I've been watching a shit ton of Sundance movies at home.
Oh, you can watch movies?
But I'll talk about those, or at least I'll highlight the best ones that I saw on the Current Cinema podcast.
Yep. Okay.
Oh wait, what's that, Jeff? What is Current Cinema?
When can people be expecting this?
Oh well, Current Cinema is a podcast that for now it's just Kyle and I, but anybody's obviously welcome to jump on if they want. But yeah, it's just a spin-off of this basically, but we're just talking about movies instead of games. And we try to keep it short. Last week was an exception because the Oscar nominations happened, and it was like a whole thing. It ended up being 30 minutes of the show. Whoops, my bad. I meant to just be like, let's just go over the best picture, guys, and then we spiraled out of that.
3 hours later.
Yeah, I know exactly. But yeah, we tend to just do pretty much, we take out the headlines, and it's basically the same format of the show. So it's just, what are you playing that's new and old, and then we do like a list of top 5 whatever. Whatever topic I decide we do a top 5 on. Nice. So that's what it
Thursday
is.
Episodes.
I think Thursdays might fit better.
Yeah,
I think they will fit. Yeah,
definitely mid to late week. Be checking out the channel
For sure. Yeah,
YouTube,
I'm still trying to decide how regular it's going to be.
Or you can find Current Cinema Podcast feed separately on Spotify, Apple, elsewhere.
Yeah, it is on its own separate feed already. So whenever it goes away from the current gen feed, but yeah, we're still. Or if
you're just watching this on YouTube, you'll see it here.
You'll see it on the main current gen channel. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, a couple headlines here. So Microsoft, I think it's fair to say that they've got at least a little bit of momentum right now. They've got this. They've set a record apparently with 120 million monthly active users, which is great, right? Game Pass is cooking along, and they just
not profitable.
Yeah, of course it's not. They just shadow dropped, a pretty major game that's doing really well, being received very well. So things are looking up, but to me the jury's still out. Like they're gonna have to deliver over the next really 12 months for us all to be back, to have them back in our good graces. But hopefully things are moving in the right direction there. They did hold a developer direct where they very purposefully talked about release dates for some games. At least they wanted to make sure that we knew, like, hey, they've got a roadmap coming up. We've got a game out today that was Hi-Fi Rush, which is a really fun surprise, as we've already talked about. They've got Minecraft Legends coming out on April 18th. That's actually a pretty big game for them. That's a pretty notable one. I know it's not going to be necessarily for everyone in this conversation. I know my kids are pumped about it. Like, I said something about, like, hey, Hogwarts comes out in a couple weeks. Like, yeah, when does Minecraft Legends come out? I'm like, ugh.
Why did I bear children?
They've done like a Diablo Minecraft game. They've done
which my kids love that one.
A Telltale one, and this one is what, base building kind of?
Yeah, so it's like a strategy action game where you kind of command like a little army and stuff, and you can go together like PvE, or you can go PvP. Apparently, there's elements of that as well where you can go against people.
I would hope there'd be PvE. That was like their main thing, is fighting.
Minecraft Dungeons was their Diablo-like, and
that was fun.
That was a huge hit in the Nestor household.
Nice.
Played that a lot around here. Forza Motorsport, they still didn't put a date on that one. I'm a little surprised they didn't even say like holiday or something.
That game is supposed to come out Q1 this year, and they're like,
I know.
Man, sorry,
like
guys.
I feel like it's going to be an October release, but I could be wrong.
Too. Yeah,
I think it's going to be their big fall release unless Starfield gets delayed as well.
My Zardar is going off really hard right now, and that's definitely.
I'm feeling
an
like
game.
Forza is September, October, and Starfall is actually going to hit. Starfield, sorry, is going to hit this November.
It's Starfall. Everything's Greedfall.
It's falling
Starfall.
Starfall.
Forfall.
Redfield. I don't know what's
Forspoken.
happening, Mark. Where's Redfield?
Redfall, literally, that's going to be game of the year for Derek.
Redfall is coming out on May 2nd. So it is kind of cool. Like we've got a bit of a roadmap for Microsoft over the next several months, which is pretty fun. I do like that. Oh, and a major expansion for Elder Scrolls Online called Necrom. So there's a big reason to log back into that
not
game.
Exclusive, right?
No.
No, it's just the fact that they own Bethesda. That's pretty much it.
Did
ESO is on PlayStation, right?
Yeah,
it is.
Like,
Yeah. All the updates.
They're
get
not
it.
changing that, right? So
they're not.
Yeah.
No.
Did Redfall show well, or?
Yeah, it was like 10 minutes of gameplay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Redfall had like a Borderlands vibe, and in addition to looking like an arcane game, but it also gave me some vibes of a little bit of Borderlands here and there. Some people are comparing it to Left 4 Dead, but I have heard
vibes more.
Far Cry, yes, I was thinking that too. I've heard people saying they're going out of their way to not be compared to Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood.
Well, right, that's what I saw people complaining about.
It's an open world, so they really want people to not call it left, that's not the appropriate thing, just because it's.
And they want you to know you can play this single player and have a blast and be successful. Like they want people to know that. So
I don't know.
So freaking good.
I think
it's
Arcane,
great. Right?
Yeah,
Is it Arcane? Yeah, I don't know what it is with people, and it started with Deathloop. Like, there's like this weirdness when they're advertising their games, because their games seem a little more like, I don't know, have like a little bit of complexity to them. Like people just want to like shit on them for some reason. Like people shit on like if you look on Twitter, there are people that are like really like shit on Deathloop, and that game was pretty unique and pretty.
It's a quality, very unique game, and
most of the people who didn't play it really hate on it. There's people who actually played it and got to experience it. They're like, all right, even if this wasn't for me, this is a good game. You know,
even like Sasan, who's like a pony now. He first started playing Deathloop and made fun of it, called it trash, all this stuff like that. And then once he actually put time in it and
he
figured
loves
out,
it
like
now.
now he thinks it's one of the best games ever. So
Yeah, I think Redfall's going to be great, and so we've got a fun spring game coming out.
It's gonna be a heck
Xbox.
of a co-op game. It's gonna be so fun.
I think it'd be good co-op, but I am relieved to know it is a good single-player experience too. This is why a game like Back 4 Blood or Left 4 Dead, I've always admired. Like that looks like a blast, and I did have fun the few matches that I played, but I don't know when this shifted in my life. I don't necessarily want to heavily invest in a game that requires me to have buddies coordinated with me to play online at the same time. I don't know if it's just because I have a family now.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm probably going to play this game mostly single player, but the fact that there is a huge co-op element to it, so the few moments that everyone can get online for a moment,
cool.
like that option is so on the table, and it's not an afterthought. It's like a very fleshed out idea, and,
I agree with you, man.
and granted. Like I think that's awesome, but dude,
so
I think we're all in agreement that we like to play like stuff like that, like just because I want to make progress and I don't want that to be upheld by, Schedules. 4 other people or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, for me, like I don't play. The only game I play competitive multiplayer is Rocket League. That's the only game. I don't play shooters online against. But this game, these type of games where it's co-op versus like AI, I actually like bringing in randoms. Yes, sometimes you get terrible people, but I love playing Destiny that way. I love playing Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood. I'll bring in random people because most of the time, people work together for the good of the team. So I'm excited about this game because yes, I plan on playing mostly single player. But if I can get somebody to jump in my game that knows what they're doing and
that's true,
and it's gonna help me out and we can have fun doing it, I'm down for it.
You never know.
90% of people don't want to talk on headsets, so it's like people have gotten used to like playing games and using like the in-game cursors and point outs and stuff.
I did it with Gotham Knights. I had guys jump in my game, randoms, and they would just freaking light crap up. And Gotham Knights was cool because you didn't have to be near each other. So it wasn't like they would just spawn you like, oh crap, we're far away, so now it's gonna spawn me to him. It didn't do that. It was just like that guy can do whatever he wants, and you can do whatever you want in your world, and you get whatever he gets. So like if he unlocks something, you get rewarded for it.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Too bad it runs at 30 frames and it's unplayable, Too bad.
Too bad it's a 6 out of 10 at best.
I think this is what Redfall is going to be like too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, in the name, it's a guaranteed 10.
I think it was overall a well done developer direct. It didn't overstay its welcome.
No.
But I think they did it. At first, I thought, oh, we're just going to hear about how great of a time it is to work at Microsoft. That's kind of what it felt like at first. Like it's just like a behind the scenes. Oh, great, they're just going to talk. But then they started talking about games, and then another game, and another game, and then I was like, all right, this is pretty good. This is pretty good direct. I liked it, and it was pretty short, but it got to the point, and they did a good job with it. So I thought it was well produced and pretty good little presentation. Trek to Yomi is going to come out on Nintendo Switch as of this release of this recording, so it should be out on the 30th. I imagine that game should look the way that it's designed should look pretty good on the Switch. It's just, I've talked about it before. It's disappointing. I don't think it's the best playing, but visually it is really cool. Same with Life is Strange 2 hitting Nintendo Switch on February 2nd. So they are finally getting some of those ports they've talked about for a while. I thought this was interesting. Marvel Spider-Man 2, the actor Yuri Lowenthal, I believe he plays Spider-Man, right?
He does. He's fantastic as
Peter Parker. He has described the upcoming PS5 game as massive and astonishing. He had other things to say too, but those are the main. He's basically very excited and wants to say more, but he can't.
Astonishing.
We've never seen this before.
Yeah, it's gonna blow your minds.
Nothing like this has
I'm
ever
so
been
excited
done.
for Spider-Man 2. Like,
oh, absolutely, dude. Venom. I mean, come on. Like,
I am so pumped for this game. So
I fucking love Venom.
Yeah, I can't wait. But on a more negative side with Sony, sounds like Naughty Dog might be done with Uncharted and The Last of Us. What do we think? We think so. So Neil Druckmann has said the studio has moved
never
on.
say forever.
He said they've moved on from the Uncharted series, and they could do the same with Last of Us. That's a little bit of I don't know. We might. What do you guys think? I don't know.
We're going to release the show and then not release the game again.
Well, they also said that with the first game, right? They were like, "Well, this is it. We're not going to make a sequel."
They said in the first game, "We're never doing a sequel."
He said the thing that I think every creator thinks about a sequel always. If we can come up with a compelling story, we'll do it. All right, well, you're going to tell a team to come up with a compelling story, and they will, and then you'll do it. Like, I don't know why
exactly.
That's even a question
That's
mark.
how I took it, is like, if he said, we're not even trying to come up with a story, we like how 2 ended, we feel good about it, then maybe I would think, okay, maybe they're not going to do it, or they'll come back to it in 10 years. But the fact that you're like, oh, if we have a compelling story, well, you're trying to write one
now. He does say that about Uncharted, though, Derek. He said Uncharted 4 was one of our best-selling games. We're able to put our final brushstroke on that story and say that we're done, we're moving on.
And
so
that
one
did
is a little
end in
more...
a way. Yeah. I still think they're going to come back. I'm just not thinking.
Maybe
there's a proper ending to that, and I feel like Neil is leaving a lot of space for there to be room for excitement for the big online game, which is sounding like it's getting bigger in scope, bigger and bigger and bigger in scope, to the point where like it may be the next like full-fledged like Last of Us entry. It just may be a little more co-op or competitive like centric, with those online features. So I'm going to be interested to see if that comes out and it's more than just kind of like a, team versus team type of game, because I have a feeling it probably is going to be.
I mean, also, I think Neil is too busy. Like, he's got a lot of stuff going on, so I think he's going to have... I think at some point he's going to have to pass the torch, and it's just whether he has faith in people that work under him, that he could be like, hey, I trust you to make a Last of Us 3 or an Uncharted remake. Like, they don't
Uncharted
need to make an
spinoffs
Uncharted
too,
5.
like another Uncharted Lost Legacy. Use different characters as your centric characters.
There's a lot of rich characters in that story.
Sony's not going to let it die.
Off of.
Neil might not be part of it, but
who did the Uncharted like PS Vita games? I don't think Naughty Dog did that game. I think they hired a different team to do that.
Golden Abyss, right?
Yeah, the Golden Compass, I think, or maybe it's Golden Abyss.
Decent game. The only thing that sucked was using the Vita controls.
So Sony is not against like taking something like that and going like, here, like, let's give this to another team to tell a different story, and it could be about Sam or whomever, So
what the hell's the zombie game that they came out with? Why can't I think of the other zombie game? Dude on the bike.
Days Gone.
Days Gone. I swear it was that team that did Golden.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same team.
Yeah, they're not doing as great these days.
I think they may have burned some bridges. Yeah,
I think they might be.
Some bridges may have gotten burned there.
I'm a big fan of that game, but that guy
I like that game a lot.
Shut up.
Yeah. Yep. Well, speaking of Last of Us,
everyone
of course,
likes freakers.
Season 2 is officially coming from HBO. Of course it is. I think it not only did it set records, but I think its second episode was like the biggest ever increase in viewership, right?
Yeah, like 27% or something like that. Something unheard of. Yeah,
which is crazy. Like, but don't most shows have a drop off after the premiere?
Most shows have a drop off. Yeah,
and if there's an increase, it's barely. Like, I don't know. That's crazy to me.
So that's what tells me that a bunch of people read articles, saw news feeds,
friends
Facebook
told friends.
Feeds.
Yes,
and people
the word
are
of
like,
mouth on this movie is very, very, very like potent.
They're like, hey, this is if The Walking Dead were really great, and they're like, okay.
Like if they took, if they handled trauma properly and not like a comic book.
Yeah. Now you're getting the non-gamer audience that's like, okay, I didn't know what The Last of Us was.
No, I think there were a lot of people week 1 who were like, I'm not watching Outbreak stories anymore, and then week 2, everybody goes, no, you have to watch this one, and those people showed up who were being a little resistant. So
and it takes me back to like, I'm trying to picture what it'd be like if I didn't play the 2 games. Like, I remember watching the first 2 seasons of Walking Dead and thinking this was phenomenal TV. Was it perfect? No, but it was just really good TV. I loved Shane. I thought Shane was an amazing character by John Bernthal, of course, but that show took a quick turn real fast after that. And not in a good way. Hey,
did you lose your showrunner?
So of course, someone on Reddit leaked some footage of what looks like maybe 2-year-old development footage of Horizon, this multiplayer game that they're working on, this Forbidden West alpha. I guess there's some multiplayer components where you create your character and go out into the world together. So I'm not sure exactly what this is from, but if you're interested in that, you can go check that out. There's some leaked footage from that. No idea if this is even still being worked on or what this is, but there you go.
I could definitely see that universe with all like the different tribes and different like.
Well, and the characters looked really stylized, but that could have just been placeholder artwork, for an early alpha build. But anyway.
I've heard rumors of some kind of like online centric Horizon game, but they were never more than just like people murmuring about it. So
yeah. Well, we didn't talk about March games yet. We'll get to that in a few weeks. We'll talk about what's going on in March, but we do know for sure on March 17th that WWE 2K23 will be arriving. Jeff, you put this in here. I'm assuming this is one that you're like, yep, I'm going to buy this day one.
Oh yeah. Probably.
Yeah,
but it sounds like they're not changing anything mechanically, so we're going to be on par with 2K22, which is good because the gameplay is actually better in that game. But this one's going to add a John Cena showcase. So that means you're not going to be able to see it, obviously, because he's
exactly.
But I think what they're going to do, because they did it with like Rey Mysterio too, where it's just going to be like highlights of his career and stuff like that, which I'm surprised they haven't done before, honestly. But yeah, it's totally going to be it's got to be day one for me. I mean, like, come on, who am I? Come on, I'm a wrestler.
Come on.
By the way, speaking of wrestling games, Kyle can probably speak to this. How accurate are GameStop roadmaps? Like, whenever they say carve out this month for pre-orders or whatever, like whenever they give those to the clerks or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
No, what do you mean?
So like, I forget what they're called. There's a word for them, but AEW Fight Forever is apparently GameStop is handing out information that says, it's coming out in April or whatever. So
they're
pretty accurate. If it's coming from within GameStop and it's about reserve dates or reserve whatever, it's probably pretty accurate.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's probably accurate.
So we could be getting that soon too as well. That'd be really awesome.
That'd be fun. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So April for AEW.
Yeah. Well, definitely for WWE though. That one is for sure announced.
That was on March 17th. Yeah.
I was really hoping that was going to be they were just going to do an every other year thing, kind of, because I kind of liked how that worked last time.
Yeah.
But I guess they're just going to keep going with it, whatever.
Well, guys, I don't know if you knew, but things have been happening at 343 Studios. Just a few things here and there. Yeah, just a few things.
I heard it's a lot of new story DLC coming out. Is that?
That's what it is. Yes, and some kind of couch co-op
too.
Yeah, totally. But even though there's been departures there. There's been, I don't know if there's been layoffs, but there's been people leaving, right? Have there been layoffs?
I think the rumors are. I mean, I think the rumors are some of the layoffs from Microsoft were in that group.
Yeah. But
they've lost so many people, they changed their name to 43.
43.
They really diminished those numbers. They really diminished.
They're just 3-4. What if their numbers just went down? It's like 327 now. That'd be really funny.
All the paperwork you'd have to go through to change your company name every time.
But this was
I guess we're 188 now.
I think we mentioned last week that this was before layoffs, that there were people leaving 343. They were just
think so too.
Fed up apparently with feeling mismanaged. I guess.
It seems like it's a mismanaged mess over there.
Yeah. So that's where the rumor came from of, they're not doing Halo anymore or whatever.
Right. And so in response, they put out an official statement saying, no, we're committed to developing future Halo content, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
even Phil Spencer
did Phil Spencer write that? I think he wrote that.
He might have, yeah.
But so we don't, that's just officially from 343, whoever's still there.
I still like 343 Halo games.
Me too.
They put out my favorite Halo games.
Yeah, I actually like them a lot.
My issue is what we've talked about before, and that's even Halo Infinite, which is my favorite Halo game. I just love the way it plays and everything in the world. But it was clearly lacking, and that's where I felt like things were rushed. And how do you say a game that was in development for 8 years is rushed?
And it cost $5 trillion to make,
and that's a lot of mismanagement, and that's probably why.
Seriously?
No, I forget how it cost a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of money.
Wow,
though.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a huge. There's all kinds of different reports on the budget that went into it and everything, but even just time alone, they wasted time, which means
this is their baby. So. Yeah, this is their baby. They spent a ton of money, and if you're not nailing it and you're not getting.
And the release window ended up being weird, like early December, but it wasn't like they had to release it kind of piecemeal. It wasn't what you want for a major franchise release. It just wasn't what you want. So
they wanted to release this on the launch of the Xbox Series X, which would have been a huge W.
Yeah, right.
For Xbox, and they ended up delaying it for what, 2 years? Was it 2 years? No, a year.
1 year.
Yeah,
like a year and
a little
month.
over a year.
Yeah.
And you still didn't have the game like fully fleshed out.
Yep.
Crazy.
Pretty big bummer.
That's what happens when you announce games too early. If they had just like waited a little bit, then it wouldn't.
Yeah,
have
but
been...
I don't think that's the announcement issue. That's again, it took them 7-8 years to develop this game. That's
no, I know,
mismanagement.
but I'm
That's
saying like that.
mismanagement.
Then I think then maybe it is, but I'm saying like then because then publishers start getting involved and they start getting like, well, what's going on? What's this? What's that? What's this?
Oh.
So I think things start getting like everyone gets like in a panic and they start rushing things. So they announce things and then we're waiting for things and I don't know. It's
just announce stuff, bring on the hype, announce everything.
Okay, you see, Kyle's part of the problem. Kyle's part of the problem.
Come on, Kyle.
Well, he wants you to announce it and then he just delays it. Like, what the hell?
One of the speaking of weird game development,
industry is based off of things being announced, so I can call it they're being delayed. So,
speaking of weird
industry.
game development cycles, I feel like the game development cycle for Lord of the Rings Gollum has been very strange, and so now they've
I
got
have no
doesn't
idea
it
what's
finally have
going
a
on with
release
that game.
date? Finally,
now.
or-
Well, now it's got a
No.
new release window of April through
Window.
September, so it's like the
Jeez.
middle of the year.
This
Uh,
game
I
looks
don't
like
even
something
know
I don't
why.
care about, and I love Lord of the
It's-
Rings.
I know.
I
Well,
love
the
Lord
thing
of the
is,
Rings.
like,
It looks terrible.
this game doesn't look fun to me at all. But I probably would have picked it up
I would have tried it.
years ago whenever they first announced
would've
it.
tried
But
it,
now,
yeah.
like, I've seen it so much and heard about it so much. I'm like, I just don't care about this game.
It's got the
anymore.
skull and bone syndrome where it's like, who even wants this now? Like, you
Yeah,
keep
like-
pushing it back, and it was
Skull and
already
bones.
kind of like a fringe game. People weren't totally bought in, but they might try it. But the more you
Yeah.
push it back, the more they're like, never mind, man. Like, we've
Yeah,
got
just
enough.
Forget
Yeah,
it. You know,
Just forget
like,
it.
no.
So this one's weird, but anyway, so I think they had moved it from last September. It had a solid release date, I think, of September 1st from last year. They bumped that back into Q1 of this year, and now they're saying somewhere in the Q2, Q3 window for this year.
By the way, speaking of delays, it wasn't in the notes, but the day before, did you see the reasoning they gave for
Yeah.
their recent delay? Where they were like, "Oh, we have a trademark issue with something else called the day before."
Oh, shut
And
up!
it's
Just
like,
say your game's not ready.
What is that nonsense?
What?
That's why we're moving it 8 months back. Until
Yeah, what?
What?
No.
That's how long that stuff takes.
And then
Well, no,
after they put
picked
out that
November
statement
10th.
saying it's a trademark issue, they said, "Oh no, we were going to delay it before the trademark thing." I'm like, which is it, guys? Like these
Yeah.
guys are just
Well,
I don't know, man.
it's become a thing of
they are
it's
Star
not even a real
Citizen
game.
in us. Yeah,
They're Star Citizen everybody for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Well, more what was that game that everyone thought was going to be a Kojima
Abandoned,
game?
but that game was actually fake. You know, like this is probably
Yeah.
actually a real game.
Did you watch the interview that Colin did? Colin got that guy on
Yeah,
an
I watched
interview.
that.
Like
Yeah, big time.
that was absurd. That was absurd.
The
Like
guy was totally bullshitting everybody.
he is. He still is because he still has insisted it's coming out. But
No. We haven't seen anything on that. We've at least seen gameplay footage of this, much like Star Citizen, which is just a jank that I've been watching Bruce and Lawrence play that from Funhouse or from used to be Funhouse lately.
Yeah.
And just what a broken mess of a game that people have spent $1 billion on. Like it's absolutely incredible. And like this is kind of getting to that where it's like people have seen it, people are really hyped for it. There's a lot of like buzz around it, but like it's just one of those things that just feel like it's never going to come out. But you know, I
thought it
might
looked
come out
cool,
this year.
but
We'll see.
I didn't. I was just like, if they actually launch it, I'll be interested. But
I'll
now
take a
I don't
look.
even care.
You
There's
can
enough
release
games out there. I
things in
don't
early
care.
access, you know, like that's how people are playing Star Citizen right now. Like, you know, let people beta test it for you.
Last but not least, there is a Tomb Raider TV series adaptation in the works at Amazon with the writer and star of Fleabag is set to write, I believe. So Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So
Yeah.
there you go.
she is
I wa-
amazing.
I wonder if she just got off of doing Indiana Jones and was like, I want to make a TV show about
I wanna
this.
do more
and like,
stuff
and then
with
like a Laura
artifacts,
Croft,
yeah.
you know, like trademark was up in the air and she just
Yeah.
grabbed that because because she's in the new Indiana Jones movie, you know. So
Yeah.
I wonder if she caught the adventure bug, you know.
And she's already been an acclaimed writer from writing Fleabag and
Sure.
the first season of Killing Eve, and then she did some rewrites on No Time to Die, which I think did a lot of favors for that movie because I think she wrote a lot of Ana de Armas' scenes and stuff like that.
So I know she's got a lot of fans and she's critically acclaimed and all that, and I think it's probably well deserved. I don't really know most of, like, I haven't watched Fleabag, which is like
Fleabag's
her
so
big
good.
thing.
I've seen it
haven't watched
twice.
either, yeah.
It's awesome.
I'm sure it's great. I just haven't seen it. I'm just saying, as soon as I saw this, I was like, I don't think she'd make a good Laura Croft. Like, and I wasn't trying to be
No,
mean. I just
no,
didn't see her
she's
as Laura
not.
Croft. But then I
She's not
realized,
gonna be.
she's set to write, and I
She's
forgot
writing it,
that
yeah.
she's a big writer.
I actually
Tim's
kind
like,
of had a
this is-
similar thing too. Where I'm like, that's an interesting choice.
was
I'm like,
like,
oh, read everything.
Oh, are they doing
okay.
like an older retired Laura Croft? Like, what are they doing?
There's some people on Twitter that are already like, bring Alicia Vikander back. And I'm like, guys, isn't she 40 now? Can we just leave her alone? Like, just let's move on. Get somebody else in there.
She's probably not that much older, but yeah, they should recast, like make it a young cast. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Completely.
I was cool with the age that they put the games at. Like, basically, that's the Lara Croft I'm anticipating. I don't know.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, well, let's wrap things up with anything else that we're playing or watching, or any other, kind of anything else you want to highlight before we wrap things up. I wanted to give you guys a couple of quick hits of things that I've been playing since I was out last week doing some moving, but there's a base builder sale on Steam. It's actually going to end the day that this podcast releases. So you're probably too late if you're going to scramble over to Steam to check this out. It's probably too late. But they had some really cool games on there. I wanted to recommend 4 and then tell you to skip 4. So I'll give you these real quick. I recommend, and this is not all these are on the base builder sale. So Vengeful Guardian Moonrider is out on Switch and PC and I think a few other consoles. It is straightforward Super Nintendo, like think Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden, that kind of thing, where you are running and jumping and swinging you eventually get more powers, but it's a melee game primarily, and the jumping and the movement just feels exactly like I wanted it to feel and expected to feel based on how it looks. It just looks and plays like a fantastic Super Nintendo throwback side-scrolling action game. So it's got some elements of like Mega Man and some of the level designs, although you're not shooting an arm cannon like Mega Man. It just kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And then a lot of Castlevania, a lot of Ninja Gaiden, the old ones. So I think it's a really cool game. There's a demo on Steam. You can check it out. I just think the style is really cool too. So I recommend that one. One on the don't recommend list is a game called Adios, which is free on Epic Games right now. I thought the concept sounded cool, but my gosh, it's so dull, and I don't have the patience to stick with a game that is story driven, that has so much useless dialogue. So the setting is you are like a farmer and you have these pigs, and these mafia guys have been coming to you for 15 years to help dispose of bodies with your pigs. And you're like, the game opens and you're looking at your journal, and your number one thing to do is tell them that you're done. And so you're trying to quit, like you're ready to be done, and they don't want you to be done. So I'm like, oh, that concept is interesting. But you're sitting there in these conversations, and the graphics aren't very good. Like the style at first was kind of cool, but then you're sitting in the kitchen. I'm like, this is a pretty ugly game. And you're talking forever, and it's just mindless, slow dialogue that you cannot speed up or skip. And by the time we got to like the third dialogue scene, I was like, I'm done. So I said
Sounds
adios.
like a Derek game.
I said adios to Adios, but it's free on Epic Game Store, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. So there you go. There's a don't recommend. Here's one I do recommend though, Kyle. I think especially you would like this one. It's called They Are Billions. It's on Steam. It is a real-time strategy game, and it's kind of a steampunk zombie real-time strategy game, basically is what it is. So it's a steampunk setting, and you're building up your base, you're upgrading, you're collecting logs, you're setting up mines, you're building your barracks so you can create your units to go out and fight. It's nothing new. It's not going to be groundbreaking, but the setting is really cool. The visuals are cool, and I like the idea of using zombies in that setting, where you're in this city that's been protected, and now you're tasked with going outside the city to creating colonies that can survive out in this dangerous.
Yeah, this looks really cool. I'm looking at little pictures of it right now.
Yeah, so They Are Billions, I think, is a really good one. If you like RTS games, then I recommend that one. I don't recommend Nightmare Reaper. It's kind of a first-person. Think of Proteus, how cool Proteus was, right? The really pixelated first-person fast action game. Go play that instead. Nightmare Reaper is kind of a little bit melee focused, and I just didn't think the visuals or the combat were fun enough to recommend this one. But there's a demo on Steam. I also would recommend Into the Pit before I'd recommend Nightmare Reaper. I just didn't. Yeah. I fell in the pit.
There it is.
Yeah, we sang that one a lot when I talked about that game. Steamworld Build is not out yet, but there's a demo for it. You can go check it out. But it's set in the Steamworld universe. It's a lot like the Anno games, the top-down kind of isometric city builders from Ubisoft. Anno 1800, and there's like a futuristic one too.
Yep.
So it's a lot like those, where you have to build roads and then connect marketplaces to houses so they can kind of upgrade. But it's all Steamworld, so it's very kind of tongue-in-cheek robots that aren't human, but they kind of act like it. I don't know. It's a very fun little universe, and I think Steamworld Build is charming, and the demo's fun. So You can probably skip Hella's Others. It's a very weird game. It's like Backbone meets Hotline Miami. You guys play Backbone, where you're like the anthropomorphic fox
Yep.
who's to solve a case?
Yeah.
So it's got kind of that vibe a little bit, but then it goes to this top-down Hotline Miami view where you're exploring. So some of that's cool, where you can only see where your flashlight is shining. Otherwise, things disappear from view. But then when it got to the actual combat and shooting, I did not think it was that fun. I was like, this is a bummer. It's not as fun as something like Hotline Miami or Ape Escape. So don't recommend that one. Dome Keeper, I recommend highly if you like Steamworld Dig. It's a really fun little, you do a run. Basically, you dig down into the ground, you upgrade your dome as it gets attacked by aliens, and then you can upgrade your laser and your little jetpack to defend your dome. And then when the attack's over, you dig back down underground to try to get more resources to upgrade more stuff. Very fun little game. I love Dome Keeper. I thought I would try it for like 30 minutes. I played it for like 2 hours the other night. Just kind of took over my evening. And the last one, Sailing Era. I think the visual style will appeal to anime fans a lot. The visual style is really cool. And at first I thought this might be like that old Super Nintendo pirate game, Uncharted Waters, I think it was called, or something like that. I forget what it's called. There was this old Super Nintendo game where you were on a pirate ship, and it's an RPG basically, and it was very cool. And I thought this would be like that, but this is a lot of talking, and I'm pretty sure they used an AI to do the translation from Japanese to English because it's not quite there. But the art style and the visuals in general are very it's very cool looking. There's a demo for Sailing Era as well. The gameplay itself I found to be boring. Like sailing the ship is fine, but you have to really be into managing your sailors and your resources and all that stuff. And so anyway, the idea is to explore the world, and you're helping to map the world back in whatever century this was. So there you go. There's my quick hits that I've been playing. A lot of good stuff and a lot of not so good stuff in between.
Tim hits.
Last thing I was going to ask you guys about, unless you've got things that aren't on the list, is any updated thoughts on Fire Emblem Engage? Because that's one that I'm planning on buying probably this week and diving into. But any updated thoughts on Fire Emblem Engage, which I know is people are loving?
I think Kyle's the furthest, and
yeah, I'm like 28 hours in now, so I'm pretty far. God, I think there's 26 chapters, and I'm on chapter 18 or something like that. They take a while. There's some chapters that even if you're just doing a straight story mission, it might take an hour and a half just getting through the battles and all the cutscenes and everything like that. And you know, people keep on talking about how there's just not a lot of like chatty. There's so much chatty stuff in this game. Like I guess I don't understand the level of what people are complaining about, because like I feel like I'm spending just as much time like back like in the hub area or whatever, like chatting with people and training and cooking and doing all this other stuff that people say aren't in this game. It very much so is.
It's there. Yeah,
it's all there, and it takes maybe it takes a little shorter, but it's you're still doing it as frequently and everything like that. I will say the characters in the story aren't as like engaging as Three Houses. Three Houses is a very like Game of Thronesy like cutthroat story vibe to it. This is so high fantasy, like just like adventure type of storyline where you're getting all the nations together to fight the great evil that's plaguing the land or whatever. Very throwback Fire Emblems type of game in terms of its like map that you're kind of choosing to do your missions and your side missions and stuff like that. Very throwback to like the DS era of Fire Emblem and GameCube and stuff like that. And I actually like that. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's a nice celebration of Fire Emblem Pass, like seeing all the cool heroes that you played over across all the games if you've been playing all this time. I'm every time like a new character I get a new ring, I'm like, oh yeah, I played that game, you know. So it's just good vibes, you know, a lot of good vibes. Really like the graphics in this game, like a lot. I think it's just a very pretty game. It's got a great loop to it, you know. I'm 26 hours in, you know, like it's really got and I just got off of a game like this, you know, last month with Marvel Midnight Sun. Right. So it's like there's enough going on here where I'm like, oh yeah, these guys are still doing it one of the best ways of doing a strategy RPG. to this day, even though we just had a great year of strategy RPGs. I'm not sick of it yet.
So you're in that mode. So if we go to war for real, they should hire you to do our strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be so good at it, and I definitely don't rewind time, and it's definitely not on casual mode. So yeah, I'd be great at all that.
Hey, we don't lose those units for real, do we, Kyle? This is real
when
life.
they die, they're dead. I'm like, well, like. What about reverting the saves?
I'm pretty sure I pushed easy mode.
I have a cloud save where I go back.
Send all the black troops first.
Oh my god!
Oh, good lord!
Oh,
God damn it! God damn it!
Last week you guys talked about Fire Emblem a bit, and if I were here, I would have jumped in on that too, because I played Fire Emblem 1 and 2 when they re-released them on the Game Boy Advance. Was the first time they hit US. So I played the first, and then I played Sacred Stones. Loved both those games. Finished both those games. The DS, I played the Dragons. What was it called? Dual Drag? No.
Awakening?
It's called Dragon Shadow Dragon. That's what it was. It was
that's
Fire
a way
Emblem,
previous one. Yeah.
Shadow Dragon. Played that one. Beat that one. Loved it. The GameCube one, which I'm blanking on what it's called. I remember I sold it because it was worth a lot, and I'm so sad that I did that, but it was worth like $150 because it was so hard to find.
That's a good looking game to this day too.
The GameCube one, I played it and I beat it and I sold it because I wanted to buy other games. And then I also got the Wii one, which is Path of Radiance, which might be one of my favorite ones. That one's really good.
Awesome.
The GameCube and Wii one actually it's a direct sequel. So like characters carry over, story carries over. It's one of the few times in Fire Emblem where there's like a 2-part, which I thought was really cool that they did that.
Very cool.
And then you had Awakening, and then so I played and beat that. So I played more than I realized. As I was thinking through listening to you guys last week, I was like, I've played and beat most of these. This is crazy. And then they had the DS one where they had the two choices, almost Pokemon style, where it was Conquest or Birth.
And then there was a third one in DLC afterwards. So it was Fates, Awakening, and Destiny or something like that.
It was Fates, Conquest, and Fates. Birthright, I think, and then they had a third one, but this was separate from Awakening, which was a totally different game. So like, there's been so many, man. There's so many good ones, and they're all really, really good.
It's Path of Radiance was on the GameCube.
Path of Radiance.
And what was the Wii one? Radiant Dawn.
Radiant Dawn, maybe.
That's the one. I actually still have that one. Radiant Dawn.
Yeah, Radiant Dawn.
Yep, so many good games, and so it's cool. That's why I'm really excited to play Engage, because as I was thinking back, listening to you guys talk about Engage, I was like, I bet you I would recognize so many of these characters that you call back in Engage. So I'm really excited to play it. I love this series, man. I didn't realize that I had played that many of them. I'm sure you guys are the same way sometimes. You're like, oh, I guess I'm kind of
I've been ride or die on this all along. Yeah. Like I have had.
I think I've played 6 or 7 games in the series.
That's a lot for a singular series to play 6 or 7 entries in one. Like that's insane.
And I haven't even touched like all the early ones that he was talking about. Mine are mainly from the 3DS days, and then I owned the one on the Wii. I think I played a little bit of it, but that was before I even understood strategy RPGs.
Yeah.
And then Awakening was the one that made me a fanboy. But I did play more of.
You had an Awakening for the series?
I did have an Awakening. But I'm only in like chapter 7 or 8 because I obviously shifted to Forspoken and now Dead Space. But I said in the last week's show that this is a game that I will beat, and I'll just keep playing it. But I got 7, 8 chapters in. It's just more Fire Emblem. Like Kyle said, I like that it's not 3 Houses because I don't think it's as big, and it doesn't have that, and I'm going to say it again, it doesn't have that Harry Potter vibe to it where you're like at a school.
You're at a school.
Running around, with your wizardry friends or anything like that. But it has still like a more open style than all the other Fire Emblem games that came out previously.
Yeah.
You still are running around a pretty big hub. There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of things to manage.
There's a lot of stuff there.
And I still think gameplay wise, it's a lot of fun. I like I played like this level where you're in the complete dark. Like you can't see the enemies, and you have
There's a fog of war over everything.
Yeah, you have to either light candles, or one of the characters you get has like a light or whatever, so you got to stay by her. So it's just stuff like that. They add like little little new things that I've never experienced in those type of games that make it more fresh. But if you like Fire Emblem, you're gonna love this one. And I look forward to, like I said, beating Dead Space and then quickly going back to this game.
Nice.
Before we deal with February and the death sentence.
There's a lot on the way.
I'm still liking.
You're married.
Fire Emblem.
Get divorced.
I'm still, yeah.
Get divorced.
And it's not too late to give your kids up for adoption.
Yeah.
So
Get rid of your kids. Get divorced.
I'm still liking Fire Emblem. I'm still expecting that one moment where I go, oh yeah, that's right. That's why I don't like these games.
And you're out.
And it's never happened yet.
That's cool.
I'm not that far into it. I'm like on chapter 4, but like it's still cool to me. Like it's still a really fun game so far.
Yep. Yeah. Nice. All right, that's all I've got, guys. Anything else before we wrap up?
Something I actually forgot to mention last week, and I feel a little ashamed to admit this, guys. I like Fortnite.
I hate you.
You should have just kept that internalized,
Oh,
man.
did you?
I don't know why.
Did you not get the memo that you're fired for the?
You thought this was a safe space.
No, I already quit
people.
because this tool over here is starting to turn alpha bro as well. I'm pointing at Jeff on my screen.
I can't.
Oh yeah,
Where
to
are
me
you
it's like you're
pointing
pointing
from?
at Tim.
I was like,
"God,
what?"
Tim's getting,
Tim's like, I'm not a
Tim's
tool.
getting it. Dang.
With
It
the
looked
all
like you were
caps,
pointing
he's
at
getting-
Kyle, so I was just running with that. I was like, yeah,
Skype's just
Kyle's
trying to.
Yeah,
Kyle's being
been
real
so
mean.
alpha lately. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I haven't played like Fortnite in like 5-6 years, so I was like in my
that was
head
a
I'm
good call.
like,
That was the right choice.
yeah, no, it was, but like
Now
more
he's making bad
recently.
choices.
More recently they added a no build mode, so I was like, all right, like I saw somebody playing it, like it looks like the game is like runs really well, like it looks fun, like the shooting doesn't look bad. So I hopped in because like the building stuff I was like, nah, I'm good with the building. I never got good at it. All these kids are like masters at doing the throwing up
Dude,
the fucking walls.
I
Like-
hated watching my sons play that game because all
It's
they
like-
would do is go in circles building. I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys aren't shooting each other. This
Right.
is dumb.
they're just building walls and doing all this nonsense, and it just didn't
And then
click.
jumping away from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So no build mode is great because it's literally just like, all right, well, survive, and you're just shooting each other and you're looting for stuff to try to, whatever. But yeah, like the game for what it is, it's a free to play game. I play a few rounds and then I'll move on to, one of the other games that actually I like a lot. But it is a fun kind of like just little like in between thing just to kind of palate cleanse. It surprisingly runs really well. The game plays really well. Like it's a competent third person shooting free to play game. So I don't know. It's fun.
It's funny. I was looking up because I was
Made
like,
a-
man,
a
it feels
few
like
dollars.
It feels like it's been out
Yeah,
forever,
made a few
but
dollars.
it actually hit early release in July of 2017. And
Yeah,
the
I
battle
bought it.
royale portion that actually is what really catapulted it wasn't until later in
Yeah.
2017. So
Yep.
we just passed the 5-year anniversary of it. For some reason, I thought it was way older than that.
Feels like a 15-year-old game. It does. Yeah. Get in my head. It just feels like a long
It's
time.
so
Because I played it when it early released, and it was a wave-based co-op shooter.
Yes,
Yeah,
like
that's
what
why I bought it.
I put like 100 hours into that game with my roommates because like that was like our co-op game, and then suddenly the H1Z1 and the PUBG and all that stuff like took off in 2017, and
yeah.
this whole
Apparently,
entire game shifted its entire identity to that.
according to Wikipedia, it was the result of a game jam session from the team after publishing Gears of War 3. They were just kind of in 2011, 2012. They were just spitballing ideas, and this kind of developed out of that. It's kind
Yeah,
of
I remember when Cliffy B was attached to this game, like when he was still there.
Gears of War is the father of Fortnite, is what I'm saying.
It is.
But wasn't
cool.
it really PUBG though? Because that came first.
No, but he's talking about the original version of Fortnite.
Oh, I see.
Fortnite
which was
born
the
then.
Gotcha.
co-op like wave-based.
Okay.
Now
like,
the mode that catapulted Fortnite was Battle Royale. Yes.
Gotcha.
yeah. But yeah. Like again, Cliffy B used to be part of like this. Like, 'cause I remember when he was the one who announced the game. And he's like, "We're building this game," and it was trying to capitalize on that Minecraft. Like so. That's the thing is Fortnite kind of has a history of just chasing the trend, and then capitalizing on it in a big way.
No, they don't
so.
chase trends and famous licenses.
No, you know what,
They
Tim?
don't do
You're
that.
right. I'm glad you called me out on that
Yeah,
totally
they don't do
false
that.
accusation. So.
Only original characters and ideas.
Yeah.
Didn't they just have a live concert? Yeah, that was super cool.
Like that was like
In
Remember
a
Ninja
video
Guys? You guys remember him.
You ever remember Ninja Guys?
Hey, they're doing something right, man. They're making way more money than any of us will ever sniff.
Yeah, I mean they're
their
smart because like they throw in outfits in there, and I'm like, shit. I don't want. I try not to spend any of my money, like extra money on buying an outfit, but they'll throw in some anime like dudes, and they had My Hero Academia. I'm like, kind of want All Might, just want to smash some faces with All Might. Like
they do a good job.
I don't understand the words you're using, but I'm glad you're happy.
Anime is Japanese animation.
No, you said All Might. Okay,
All Might.
Yeah, you're saying things that my brain is not connecting.
He's a superhero character, and he likes to go plus.
Ultra. Keep doing this.
No.
Likes to go plus ultra.
Gonna keep doing that. All right,
just hit the disconnect button.
All right. Well, listen. Lots of exciting stuff coming out over the next several weeks. We will have new games to discuss every week. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll also come up with a few games. I might do a Kahoot quiz here in the near future too, because those are always fun to mix things up. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for covering last week too. That was a great episode. And we'll talk to you guys next time. See ya.